Good evening. So we start here. The public has been duly informed of this meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by posting at least 48 hours in advance a notice on the bulletin boards in Stevenson and Churchill schools, a notice to the township clerk, and a notice to Passaic Herald News and the Progress. Now, can you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this point, we're going to take public comments on agenda items only. We ask for you to. What? Oh, you can do the I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're going to skip the agenda for, okay, so we're going to have a presentation of the Stevenson School first grade students writing pieces. Sorry.
Good evening. First grade is so pleased to have such a wonderful audience here tonight. My name is Laura Barra. I'd like to introduce the rest of the first grade team: Carissa Franzi, Sandy Rivera, Lindsay Dillon, Maria Major, and Cheryl Malinsky. We are here this evening to present some writing pieces. In first grade, we read text, discuss, we revise our pieces, and this is the final product. So we brought a variety of different types. I guess I'll start first with Chloe Carmagnola. Okay. She will be presenting about Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King Jr. cared about people. He believed everyone could be great. He is a peaceful man. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1968. We celebrate MLK on January 15th.
Nicolette Del Russo. Nicolette is presenting a how-to.
Building a snowman can be fun. First, roll the bottom of the snowman. Next, roll the middle of the snowman. Then, roll the top of the snowman. Now, stack them up one on top of the other. I will get all my items to finish my snowman. First, I will get my soft rainbow hat. Next, I will add mints for the snowman's eyes, red licorice for the mouth, and an orange carrot nose. Then I will add gray buns, brown sticks for the arms, warm rainbow gloves, and a cozy rainbow scarf. Finally, I am done building my snowman. Hooray!
Hello, now we have Logan Little, and he is going to present his how-to.
How to Build a Snowman, written and illustrated by Logan Little. Copyright 2023. How to Build a Snowman by Logan. I will tell you how to build a snowman with maybe some humor. First, roll a humongous snowball. Second, roll a medium snowball. Third, roll a small snowball for the head of the snowman. Now let's decorate. First, get an old hat that you don't even like. Put the hat on the snowman. Next, get 2 pieces of coal. Put the coal on the snowman, but don't push them in too far or they're going to fall out the back of the snowman's head, and you will have to get a new piece. Now get a carrot. If you don't have a carrot, use a stick. If you can't find a stick, well, I can't help you there. Now get a scarf. If you don't have a scarf, either buy one or I can't help you. Now get two mittens or gloves. Put the mittens or gloves on the snowman's arms. Get two sticks and put the sticks on the middle snowball. If you don't have sticks, you don't have arms. Now get buttons and put the buttons on the middle put the last button on the bottom snowball. Finally get 5 pieces of coal. Put the pieces of coal on the small snowball for the mouth. Make sure you put the coal in a curved shape so it looks like a mouth. Now you know how to build a snowman.
We have Colin Salmon, who wrote about George Washington.
George Washington was a great man. He's on Mount Rushmore. He rode horses. George Washington was the best.
We have Madison Alley, who also wrote about George Washington.
George Washington was a brave man. George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732. He is found on Mount Rushmore. George Washington wanted America to be separated from Great Britain. He was called the father of our country. George Washington helped make America a better place.
Thank you very much. And I have to say that these are my favorite parts of the meeting. And I thank all the teachers, and I watch them all, like I watched Miss Malinsky tonight, mouth the exact verbatim of what the child is saying, and that's my favorite part. But thank you very much, and we appreciate these. Thank you, kids. And we're going to take a 5-minute break so that whoever would like to leave can leave before we open up the meeting. The children want to go home and go to bed. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going back into executive session. So please hang out. Give us about 10 minutes. Nobody heard that. Yes.
Motion to go back into executive.
Roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Come here, hurry up, hurry up. Nick, look official. Nick, come here. What? Nice job, buddy. I am so proud of you. You were the keep going. One, two. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm so proud of you. I'm gonna take this real guys, and thank you so much for bringing her here. Yes, thank you so much. Wonderful job. Yeah. Yeah. You did amazing. I can't see you tomorrow, okay? I'll see you later tonight. I'm gonna stay here and see what's going on. Beautiful. You did such a great job. Tom! You look like you're just like you're sleeping right now. Yeah.
We shut down now or we lock? Still going? We can't stop it and then restart it?
I mean, I don't know, because people might get the impression it's over.
Yeah.
So
Well, they might tune in and then tune out.
I would keep it. Yeah, I think you might, then you might have more people come here, so don't do that.
Don't do that.
Thank you. Wow. Today we're all together. gotta sign up to speak on it. Want me to sign your name? For what? If you wanna get on the floor, you can sign your name. Oh, I'm not doing that. No, no, you sign up when you go to. Oh, I know. My dad turned me in.
On the one. So how do I know which one's which? That's here or back there? Yes.
So now we're starting here, right? First, I have to open the meeting back up.
Yeah, open it. Yeah.
I have to do this all again.
Just give a motion to end executive. And- you're gonna ask for a motion to end
Yeah,
executive,
right.
and then we're gonna resume the meeting.
Okay, I need a motion to end executive and to resume the meeting.
Motion?
Okay, at this point, at this time, we are going to, hold on. Roll call. That's what, no, because we just came out of executive back into executive roll call. No,
Yes. Here? Here?
Here. Okay, so at this point, we're going to take public comments on agenda items only. We're going to just remind you to please give all your questions, and then we will answer them all at the end. Please take note of everybody else's questions, so maybe you don't repeat the same questions over and over again. And please keep it to under 3 minutes.
Can I make a
Yep.
statement
Oh,
before we begin?
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, we want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's great to see so many people out here. There's a couple things we want to touch base on before we begin this meeting. First and foremost, again, thank you. I'm not sure if many of you that are here tonight know this, but over the course of the last 6 months, our average attendance is between 8 and 11 people. So to see this many people out here and concerned about what's going on in the community, I think it's a testament to everyone, and we appreciate it. I want to start off by saying that the Board of Education and the administration are here tonight with the same concerns that you are. We do not want to lose any teachers in this district. We're doing everything in our power to make sure that that's not the case. And over the course of this meeting, there's going to be questions asked, and hopefully we can answer them. Now, we're going to do our best to address a lot of the concerns that you have tonight, but there's also a couple things that we want to put out there before we even begin. Just because we don't respond to comments on social media doesn't mean we don't see them. We would be in violation of an ethics committee violation by doing so. There's a lot of inaccurate information that will be talked about tonight that was put on social media today. For example, regardless of what happens, there's no new vote for a budget in November. That's inaccurate information that we will prove throughout the meeting. And we want to touch on, just quickly, because it was innocently done, a lot of you are here because of an email that HSA sent out. I'm not sure if you've seen the redacted email, but the original email was sent out, unfortunately, with inaccurate information. This is not your last chance tonight before a budget is passed and we have to forego without several teachers in the district. This is a preliminary hearing. And the purpose of a preliminary hearing is to let you know what we're faced with, how we got to this particular situation, and what we're doing to try to keep everyone in the district so that none of your children are impacted. So I know that the HSA sent something out saying that, that was inaccurate information that they were provided with, but I just want to let you know, this is not the know-all, end-all. This is just a preliminary budget hearing, and whatever's voted on tonight is not finalized. It just gives us the opportunity to move forward in a direction. So please, speak up. Like Andrea said, try not to repeat the same questions over and over, and we will do our best to accommodate any information that you are looking for.
Let's come up. We having them sign in somewhere? Where's the signage sheet?
Right here.
Okay.
I signed
You
it.
signed in? Okay.
Tiffany Salvato, 18 Southampton Drive. I have 3 girls in the district. I'm here tonight. My main question is, and it could be hearsay, I'm not sure, because I know how rumors fly, that there was already a reduction in force that was made from the district. That happened in March. Public knowledge knows that you don't have to reduce non-tenured teachers before May 15th.
I'm sorry, Tiffany,
Yes.
if I might, this portion of the meeting is
It's
for,
agenda items. It's
it's-
on the agenda.
it's agenda items only.
So it impacts the agenda items because I saw on the agenda that a proposed is a reduction in 7 positions: music, media, special ed, OT.
But are you asking if it's already done?
Well, I'm stating that it was already done and asking why it happened before the preliminary budget.
Okay.
So my question really is, why did that happen before the preliminary budget? Because I do believe that it was heard. And I think that, the Township of Fairfield and the community members are here to support teachers, to support the school district. And I really hope that the presentation that's made gives us all of the answers that we need to understand why that was done ahead of time and not giving us the budget information before and then it have affect the livelihoods of teachers, and it really affects teacher morale, which brings, down what happens in the building and affects student achievement, and that's why we're all here. So that's really my main question, because a budget doesn't need to be passed until April 20th, and they don't have to be reduced till May 15th. So just kind of wondering why it was done backwards. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Hi, so I'm going to speak to agenda item K as well. And I was the one that puts the Facebook post up. I mean, I have no shame, and I made it very clear that it was how I understood it. So I didn't say anybody else did. But back to my point, I want to know, how did we get here? Go ahead.
Although I know, can you just please state your name?
Nicole Sudol.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you.
Yes.
How did we get here? How did we lose such a grasp of our budget that we're now resorting to cutting teachers, cutting programs? We've been functioning at the 2% cap since at least 2014. I stopped reading back, but that's a long time to let things keep going. We obviously were struggling with that 2% cap. We should have moved to an elected budget a long time ago to allow for an incremental increase, 2.2%, 2.8%, whatever it may be. And we could have prevented taking away programs from our kids and losing some really good teachers. And I think that's important to discuss with us, because school's an investment, right? Our teachers, our staff, our programs, and if you're not going to protect our investment, it's really hard for us to say, yes, increase our taxes, yes, pass a referendum, because looking at what has happened in the past years, that makes no sense. I mean, at the March 2021 meeting, we were told that 75% of our budget is contractual. So that means our teacher salaries. That's a huge part of our budget. Nothing should have been shocking that we were falling short of money. That's 75% of an expected number with an expected increase. So how do we let it keep going and going to the point of you're taking livelihoods away from our teachers, you're taking valuable people away from our teachers, and you're taking programs away from our teachers? This never, ever should have happened. In my opinion, it is a matter of poor budgeting. And we deserve an explanation as to how we got here, why we got here, and how that will not happen in the future, because we don't deserve to lose the good people we're going to lose. And we want a referendum to pass. It's not going to happen when we don't think we can't trust you with our investment. And that's sort of where I'm at now, looking back at all the money. Like I said, I went back as far as 2014. So please
Well,
explain how we got here.
And we'll reference, actually, previous minute meetings when we answer your question. But if that's it, then we'll take that, we'll jot it down, and then we'll address it.
Yeah, and I will just say, because I know you're going to say we've been talking about this for a little while. I think like a year and a half meeting, we talked about moving to an elected budget. But I don't believe for a second that this just came to our attention a year and a half ago.
No, and
This
we'll
has
address,
been-
we'll
Okay,
address that
Please
when
do,
we,
because I think we deserve an explanation.
Absolutely.
Our teachers deserve an explanation,
Absolutely.
and so do our kids.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We have prepared a statement that is also in reference to agenda letter K, and our questions are at the end of the statement.
Can you just state your name?
Yes, that's in my first sentence when
Yeah,
I begin.
great.
My name is Jennifer Valenti. I am the K-2 STEAM teacher at Stevenson School. I've taught in the Fairfield School District for over 20 years. I currently serve as co-president of the Fairfield Education Association with my colleague, second grade teacher, Vanessa Mayer, and I speak on behalf of all of our teachers, some of whom are gathered here tonight. We would like to address the recent reduction in force that our district faces for the 2023-2024 school year. We stand before you tonight as concerned educators. We're concerned for our colleagues. The 7 colleagues that left their respective buildings on Wednesday afternoon with the devastating news that they will not be employed by Fairfield next year. Not only does my heart ache for them and what they had to endure, we are losing good, dependable, responsible people. We are concerned for our students, the students whose daily instruction will be affected due to larger class size. The upper elementary student who plays the flute but will no longer be able to continue lessons at school. The number of students who may possess a natural affinity for musical instruments that may now go undiscovered. the student with an IEP affected by understaffing in that department, and the many, many students impacted by the lack of exposure to technological advancements, the loss of a certified media specialist, and the absence of a full-time world language teacher. We have to wonder, how did we, Fairfield, get here? Where did we go wrong? How did it get to this point? There has to be a better way. Our educators, our residents, our students deserve better. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a comment on agenda item only?
Hi, my name is Meredith Grassi. I live at 25 Phyllis Lane. One of my bigger questions for tonight is to understand the percentage breakdowns of where our budget goes and some of the classroom sizes, et cetera. So can you help me understand what the percentage of kids are in special education, as 32% of the budget seems to go there? What's the breakdown of our administration costs, as $1.3 million goes there? Can you help me understand the student activities and what exists? Because I was a mom that was brought in to help with some of the afternoon clubs at Churchill. Let's see here. Can you explain what is in the capital reserve? I keep seeing that word brought up, and we keep saying that money's gonna be pulled from there. So how much money is actually sitting in the capital reserve? What makes up our admin costs? Oh wait, I already said that. Moving on. And yeah, I think that's basically it for now. Thank you.
Michelle Hartman, 3 Ralph Drive. So I kind of want to make a statement, and I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I grew up in Fairfield my whole life, went to West Essex, graduated. I moved my family back here from North Caldwell because I loved Fairfield. I know 2 people on this board have children in this district. I'm sorry, I don't know if the others do currently, but I always was under the assumption and the feeling that this is an amazing town with amazing school systems. And I don't feel that anymore. That's so hurtful and sad for me because all I do is praise this district. I love our teachers. And if everyone looks around this room, the fact that there are so many teachers in this room should say something to everybody. They care. That's why I'm here. That's why my friends are raising their children here, because these teachers care. And I feel like we're forgetting some of that, and we really have to look at what we're doing. I don't understand budgeting stuff, and I don't understand all of that stuff, and I know a lot of this, there's a lot of other elements that come into play with all of this stuff. I understand that. I understand there's not always gonna be happy decisions, and you guys make very hard decisions, and I get it. But we really have to look at our kids. I mean, there's so many people I know that are like, why am I living in this town anymore? That's so sad. When I tell you so many people that I graduated West Essex from are still in this district because of how amazing this town always was, they all want to leave. That's sad. We should all be scared for that. We've increased housing here. Where are those tax dollars going? Where is that money? I just don't understand when Fairfield is being considered at West Essex the least educated sending district. That's sad. I mean, we have teachers back here that are phenomenal, and everyone should look around this room. The fact that they're all here says volumes. I mean, I just have to say that I have a child with that, is classified, and our special ed program is stellar. I have to be honest with you. The fact that I heard we're cutting a special ed teacher who has done nothing but amazing things for children, it's so hurtful and it's so hard. And I'm sorry, but I just had to let you guys know that I have nothing but positive and happy things to say about this town. And I'm starting to feel defeated, and I can't even tell people to move here anymore. I was the biggest advocate for it. I would say I wouldn't go to North Caldwell, go somewhere else, because you're not gonna get the education I got, you're not gonna get the kind of services I used to get. And I know you guys are doing your best, but like, we gotta try harder. And I don't know what the answers are. I don't have them, and I wish I did, but I don't. But I just wanted to say that because I'm so grateful for our special ed program, so grateful for our teachers. They're phenomenal. And it's so hard to hear that 6 of them may be let go that are amazing. I understand majority of them are not tenured, and that's sad that we're gonna let teachers go just because they're not tenured, and maybe that's not the reason, but let's be realistic. We all feel that that is, or majority of us feel that there is. So it's just, there's a lot. And I just would love to hear from you guys, your feelings. And I know majority of you guys don't want this either. I know that. But I guess it's just to hear from you guys, your feelings on what's really happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have a comment on an agenda item only at this point?
Hi, I'm Lillian Coyle, and I live on Sand Road. Don't have children in the school system. My kids are 18, 21, and 23. And I'm here because I'm a tax-paying citizen. And
Wait, I'm sorry, Lillian, I'm sorry. But is this an agenda item?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Or a
well,
statement. If it's
Or
a statement, you're
Then you
more
have to
than.
just
you-
save it.
Yeah.
to
If
the
it's a
end.
statement, it goes under non-agenda items, open floor. But if it's a statement that's in regards to an agenda item.
yes.
that-
So basically, what I want to know
Yes.
is,
I'm sorry, I didn't
I'm-
mean to interrupt you, but because we saved
Got
those
it.
for the end.
Yes, yeah.
These are more questions.
So I want to know what I'm looking at. Under K, what is this? You came out and say, oh, rumors, this is nothing.
So Kay was addressed, I believe, by Nicole and one other person. So that's up here. If you're looking for clarification on Kay, we will go over, that will be answered in a question that was previously asked by one of the other parents.
Okay, so, because for number one, it says, it is hereby determined that 3 additional spending proposals. So is there a budget already in place?
So what we'll do is when we address, we're not going to answer any questions
Okay.
now. We're going to answer any of the questions. We're going to take all of the questions because Kay has been brought up 3 times now, and in detail answer any questions in regards to that.
Okay, so these can change.
Yeah, and
and
we'll
will change.
go
Okay.
over all of that with you.
And Lillian, if you want to come up later and still give your presentation, you
Yes.
can.
Oh, yeah,
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 I
yeah.
don't want to cut you off.
No, got it, got it.
Does anybody else have a question?
Just so you know, this also has to do with K, but I just want to put my question out there before, to make sure you guys answer it when.
Yeah, when
you
we
say-
answer Kay.
All right, Tammy Genicelli, Crescent Drive. Under K, it says 540,000 to be budgeted for bus aids.
Yes.
Okay, I've been asking about bus aids since my son is in kindergarten. He's now in West Essex. So I want to know, 1, why all of a sudden are we getting bus aids? 2, I want to know, you guys, or the budget or whatever, wash their hands of the busing. We now have to pay for it, which is fine. Why not? Why does that have to come out of the budget? Why is that not, if we pay $500 a kid right now, is it going to be $200 more if we have an aide on the bus? I don't know how it works. I'm just putting my questions out there. Like I said, I fought for aides for years. My kid was getting spit on the bus. My kid may have also been doing something to somebody else's kid. And it was one bus driver with 20 kids behind them that they had to go from point A to point B and get the kids safely there. So I want to know why 540,000 is coming out of the budget, because I'd rather pay that out of my pocket and put the $540,000 back to the teachers who were cut and pay their salary. So that could maybe also be an option.
So we'll address it, question K, but I think there's a misunderstanding between question K, and we'll go over that in detail when we address that particular question, okay?
Any other Questions? Okay, come on. Hi.
Ashley Antonakis, 17 Southampton Drive. It is about K too as well, which I think a lot is going to be about. But it says here that you're going to, well, I don't, hopefully you're not going to, but reduce special education class sizes. So I have 3 kids in the district now. 2 of them have IEPs. Who's going to say that they don't still deserve their IEP? Like, what are the standards going to be? Are they going to change? Are they going to, how's that going to work? Who's going to decide that? Because I don't understand that. And also, if you do reduce, if you take away media, and I don't know if foreign language was one of them, like, what are our kids going to do? What is, you know, what, are, I don't know, are they required? Some of them, I heard they weren't required, that they're almost like a, not an elective, but, so what's going to happen then? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Hi, Tyler Masterson, 21 Henrietta Drive. Lots of folks have already asked about K, so I'll leave that for now. But in section C, I've been coming to the meetings now for a year and a half, and I haven't seen a request for this before. So can you share what is the impact and cause of having to transfer funds in excess of 10% from one account to the other? What does it mean? What is it for? It says here for electricity and transportation, which kind of leads me to the next question. What exactly is the split cost of transportation between the district and the families? Because we are paying this year, so it's a little surprised to see that there's still such a heavy burden on the district for transportation. So if you can clarify that, that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's gonna be an easy one.
Next question.
Good evening, Al Scazafabo. My question is in reference to K generally. What I'd like you to address when you do the answer section with items 1, with the proposals 1, 2, and 3. I was wondering, they obviously seem to be an attempt at solutions for a problem that everybody's here tonight to explore with you. And so if they are solutions, who came up with the solutions? Were they done with the assistance of a financial person, a state auditor? Has there been a state audit done? And when is it on extension? And will there be an audit done prior to any budget changes? So when this goes on a ballot at some point, will we have that information available to us with the assistance of other financial people?
Thank you very much.
Next comment.
Dawn Bareka, 32 Campbell Road. I just want to piggyback off of that. What government grants and aids for our media programs and our STEAM programs and our special education programs and our instrumental programs have you guys explored to get funding for to help support these programs so that you don't have to cut them? I want to know if you guys have even researched all the free money that is out there for these programs and for these teachers so that we don't have to lose them.
Next question, agenda items only.
Hi, I'm Marlena Brzezinski, 14 Crescent Drive. I didn't read the agenda because I was too busy taking off of work from my commission paid job for the past 2 weeks to run your book fairs that you obviously no longer care about. My question is, how do we come to the decision to cut the teachers that we cut? Why this one over that one? Why this program over that program?
So that would be,
Okay.
that would fall under K. And more importantly, depending on how it's approached, it might even be under open session. And we'll go over that. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions?
I'm sorry, I
That's
forgot one
okay.
question. Tiffany Salvato. It's actually for agenda item 3, enrollment.
Okay.
So looking at the enrollment, it looks like our total enrollment has dropped only by 11 students, give or take, when it was done. Looking at the differential between June of 2022 and June of 2023, that is not a significant impact on the district. So I would like to know how that would also go with K, right? So that large reduction in force, but not a significant difference in the enrollment. And also how that would affect those students that are in the trailers with sixth grade. The biggest reduction in the enrollment is in sixth grade, and they'll be moving to West Essex. So I'm not sure that that really plays a part in anything. So I just want you to address class sizes and what it'll do to class sizes. Thank you.
Before Nicole goes, does anyone else have a question on agenda items only? Because once Nicole goes, we'll wrap it up and start to answer some of these questions. Anyone? Okay, Nicole.
It's quick. It is about K, but I was just looking at the website, nj.gov, and for 23-24 fiscal school year, we have received a 16.53% aid increase. So I'm hoping when you explain the budget and why we can't afford things, you could explain where this money goes and why it goes where it goes and where it's required to go, because, you know, $135,104, I know that's not enough for many teacher salaries, but that's an increase that we need to know where it's going, especially since we're making all these cuts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Scalia, 22 Stag Trail. My question isn't about any of this, although the teachers that are behind me have had an incredible impact in the learning of the 3 girls that I have in this district. But my question is on, I believe it's section 6, and I'm just wondering what programs we're going to implement within the schools to ensure that the children are properly educated regarding harassment, intimidation, and bullying.
Anyone else have a question on agenda items only? Okay, so we're going to wrap up the question portion. I've never had so many questions, and I'm going to be honest, I'm totally thrown off. I don't even know where I'm supposed to be at this point.
Yeah. Sue, do you want to address the first one? Or Kathleen?
Okay, so I guess we'll let's start off with explaining.
Hear me? No. Can anyone hear me now? Okay. So Tiffany, I believe that was her name. I'm sorry I didn't get your last name, but you had asked about the reduction in force and certain dates under the law that teachers have to be notified. Well, Monday is mandated that we have to submit our budget to the county office, and we have to submit a balanced budget to the county office. And that is why the administrators notified the teachers in advance of that there were cuts, okay? Dr. Cicatelli could tell you why certain cuts were made, but bottom line is that our revenue source, based on Nicole, did go up, not significantly, $135 in state aid, which I was grateful for. But for the last couple of years, we have managed to maintain ourselves with a 2% cap. Prior to COVID, the district received a lot of federal money, American Rescue, Carissa, and that's how basically we were carrying ourselves. That money has dried up. So now some of that money had to be shifted back to the operating budget. So when you look at salaries, and I'm not isolating teachers, but when you look at all the salaries, and I did a quick analysis, all the salaries totaled, including the teachers that unfortunately were RIFed, the increase in the salaries were $414,000. With the 2% cap, which this is what the state did, they basically what's the word? Thank you. Handcuffed us because with the 2% cap, the usual increase was around 240,000. Now, this year, I applied for a statutory growth increase, which was going to expire for, I believe, health benefits. I did get the health benefit increase, but even with that, there were increases in health benefits, salaries, insurance, all different types of insurances where it was I forgot the name of the insurance. I'm going blank on that. Our transportation costs did not go up significantly because thank God they renewed our leases. And we had to align our maintenance budget. And that's where all the shifting in the expenses caused what we're going through right now. So we had fiscal challenges this year that we have managed to successfully maneuvered, but next year is where we went into a crisis.
And Kathleen, can you tell the audience what % of the budget healthcare and payroll occupies?
Normally, that's about 84% of the budget.
So 84% of our entire budget is payroll and healthcare. So keep that in mind. You're running a district on 16%. So I think that's noteworthy. And Tiffany, did you understand Kathleen's response as to why they were notified now and how we're legally obligated to submit to the county?
So, Tiffany, the reason why everyone is having an issue with K is because K is placed on there. The only time that we can ask for additional funding is during the November election. So K, I can't answer that. I wasn't here at that time. I will
Well, no,
tell
you-
you.
What? So I can definitely touch on something that Nicole asked. Nicole asked, how did we get to where we are right now? Right? So here's the realization, and what I think we all need to understand. Since 2017, the Board of Education, way before I was involved, has been given the guidance from administration that busing is consuming too much of our budget. This was talked about in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. It was talked to in depth when we went to prescription busing about how the budget would affect the district. So to give you some insight, even though you are paying for busing, the district is still allocating roughly $350,000 to keep the prices you pay down. So we hear more often than not, why do the sending districts not run into these problems? Well, it's very simple. 5 or 6 years ago, the districts got rid of busing. But when we tried to do that, we had an audience as big as we have tonight, voicing their opinion on why Fairfield is such a great place to live and why busing was instrumental in them moving here. And it's because of that and because of the busing budget and the increases in transportation over the years that we are in the predicament that we're in. Now, you referenced some case in minutes. If you go back, busing was brought to the attention of the general public over the course of the last 5 years. And the reason why not everybody understands or was educated in how much the busing cost is because our attendance was never this great. So I think it's very important to know that $350,000 of our school budget this year was used to subsidize the $500 or $600 or $700 that you pay in order to have your children take a bus. Now, if we did away with that 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, which we tried to, we had just as many people in an audience, stating why that would impact them greatly.
So you're saying that buses is the reason why you're cutting teachers?
No, it's a budget. The reason why we're cutting teachers,
Is it the buses or is it the health and the other stuff?
well,
What's the reason?
it's all of it.
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
Did you ever try to go to the council? How is the town involved? Why isn't the mayor here in the council?
Well, you can't,
The mayor and
you
council
can't go back
operate,
and forth. You
Yeah.
can't go back and forth.
they operate on a different system than we do.
You have to come up and ask the question, and
Nicole, did I answer your question, though, about the 2%? Because we are handcuffed and that the only way to get around that 2% is for proposals on the budget?
Not really, because I want to know why do we wait this long? We should have done that years ago. Anthony mentioned 2017 with the busing. Why didn't we come back in 2017? Hey, we're struggling to meet busing funding. This might affect us down the road. And I understand there was a different business administrator, and I'll leave it at that, but there's also how many other people up here on that team that didn't say, hey, we're gonna run out of money. Like, this isn't working. So, no, my question wasn't answered. I don't know what you're talking about with the buses, but why did we wait so long? How did we get here?
Well, I think that in the last couple of years with COVID, there was a lot of savings for many districts because we weren't in schools.
We referenced 2017 already, though. That was before COVID. We were having some money issue with buses. So budget there already, we're off a few years prior. So that doesn't really answer it clearly either.
Well, when we did propose to get rid of busing, the community fought us.
But I know we're not supposed to ask this, but then you look at the budget and you say, this cap isn't working. We're running out.
Busing is a very big cause. You asked the question on why we're challenged. We can't talk about what happened. I can't talk about what happened 6 years ago because I wasn't sitting up here. But you do need to understand, and we're not going to have a back and forth tonight. We're looking to take the fact that everybody's here, right, and move on from, we're challenged right now with this task to find a way to keep the teachers in the district. And going back and forth as to why this something wasn't done sooner, we can go back and forth, and we can go back and forth to meeting minutes and the last several years where we said this was going to come to fruition. And now it is. It's not a lack of information on the Board of Education's side. It's a lack of it's information from general public to coming to see what's going on in the district.
I'll be quiet. We're not supposed to go back and forth. But that is a non-answer, and these teachers deserve more than that non-answer. And so do us who have kids in this district for many years. I'll be quiet.
I'm just gonna touch on from 2017. Only thing I'm touching on is the buses. We've been bringing it up every single year, Brian and Pat, and every year, we get a big pour out of people that want to keep the buses. And that has impacted our budget. That's not the only thing. I'm just answering why it has been addressed since 2017, but it's not the only thing.
Why are we adding then $540,000 more to busing?
So let me,
So we're going to address that.
so I just want to address K altogether because we're asking you to support it as a budget ballot question. That's what the spending proposal is about. Wait, yes, they will. They absolutely will, but that depends on. No, if you answer. No, listen, I can't speak over you.
Well, yeah,
We can answer the questions, please. Go ahead.
Question.
Right there. You're the reason. That's why. You are so condescending to everybody in this district.
Okay, we're gonna, warning, Maria, can you just, okay,
That's it. You won't
Okay.
keep her in,
okay.
and you won't follow her. My daughters aren't even in school. I'm here as a taxpayer. You're the reason. Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
You weren't so condescending and mean, and talk down to everyone that they're.
Okay, Maria, okay,
This is.
okay, we're gonna calm down. That was a warning. Okay, that was a warning.
There is no need for an audit, okay? At this point, wait, just tell me, let me speak. For proposal number 1, this is to restore what we lost. Do you understand that? Restore the teachers that we are basically losing in a RIF. That's what question number 1 is. You may not like my answer, but let me at least give you the information, okay?
Can I just respond to that specifically? This
Not right now.
Yeah,
Tyler.
no.
Not right now. Let her finish.
Hold it.
And then you can.
Question number 2, the additional, and the reason why we wanted to separate it was give the parents the opportunity in the community to decide what you wanted to support. Question 1, obviously, proposal 1 is dear to our hearts, and we want you to support that. Question 2 had to deal with computers, technology, a restore of field trips, lunch aid positions, and an occupational therapist. Not that they're not important, but they were not included in the most important, I guess, was question 1. Question 3, and one of the women brought it up about AIDS, and I've been asking for years for AIDS. This came up constantly this year with discipline on the bus. And I went to Sussex Regional to say what the cost would be to have AIDS on the bus. And it's basically $225 per day times 180 days times 12 routes. And that's how that number came about. But we do not have money in the budget to support AIDS on the buses because they're not our buses. We can't put an aid on something that we don't own. Okay?
Why I'm saying we could pay out, I would pay out of pocket for aides on the buses. I would have paid the district when you guys were giving courtesy busing to put aides on the buses. But you guys didn't want to do that. But now, because either people can't handle emails from parents or our children have just become so out of control on buses that we can't handle it anymore.
I appreciate your comment, but we're trying to give people the avenue to vote on things that are important to them. And that's what this is about.
I don't know what the aides on the buses now has to do with anything when you're.
No. Listen, that might be for you not important, but maybe for another person in this room.
It was important.
I know, I hear.
Earlier, but you guys didn't want to listen to me for years. Nobody, the school didn't want to listen for years. Aides on the buses. Where does most of the bullying happen? Does it happen in front of the teachers while they're present? No, it happens when they're on the bus with 20 kids and one bus driver.
But the people in this room asked tonight, the biggest question was on Resolution K. And that has to go to the county office and approved by the county office, the executive county superintendent, for clarity for the ballot question. And that's why it's being presented tonight for the board to approve the submission of the tentative budget. And there were 3 questions, and I went through all 3 of them. And this is additional spending proposals that would become permanent to avoid what we're going through now.
Whoa, one at a time, one at a time.
At a time.
specifically does it avoid that? Because it seems like there have already been people impacted and terminated, and this wouldn't go for a vote till November.
That's
So
correct.
I think that the opportunity to get these people back, that ship has sailed at that point.
Only because we have to submit, listen, the only way to raise the taxes above to get everything that we need is a question, period. That's how the state does it.
In town until November of 23, correct?
Correct, and that's when it's placed on the ballot. And that's legal.
People that have been impacted are going to move on, so there's not an opportunity for them to come back. They can't wait to see if Fairfield's going to vote them back. So I think it's nice to say we're trying to avoid it, but it's done, right?
It's done in terms of the,
September, right? Then why does the agenda say to reinstate these positions? If they have not been let go for September, why does your agenda read to reinstate? That leads us to believe it's been taken away.
they would be, yeah.
Item K says to reinstate media, to reinstate.
Right, because they're right now, they're being reduced in force in those positions.
So they have been told their position's gone for September.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's- yes.
They may or they may hold on. I don't know that. I'm just,
Without your paycheck.
wait.
Wait, no. Okay. Can you sit down until, one at a time, one at a time? Okay.
Our music program is unbelievable. What Mr. Sylvester
All right,
program, the involvement, like these kids, they go in at 8 o'clock in the morning, twice a week, one for chorus and one for band. Because they want to go in. They want to practice, they're enjoying it, they're loving it. When they get to West Essex, the music program there is phenomenal. We're gonna like, I mean, what's it gonna do?
okay, let us,
And the music program is a chance for kids that don't have a lot of friends, or for them to meet other types of friends. It brings everybody together. As cliche as it sounds, that's what it does. And the program in the last 2 years, it's unbelievable. For you to take that away from them, it's disgusting. You can say to us, can we cut busing in order to keep the music program? Something, give us options before you got to this point. Right. That's what's very upsetting, extremely upsetting.
okay, let Kathleen finish answering all question K, so everybody has their answers.
I hope I answer. I know that you don't like my answer, and I do apologize for that. But I will tell you, it's what I can possibly give you right now. You don't like it, but that's the answer. The proposals are placed on the November ballot for the community to vote either yes or no. And at that point, if it's a yes, it's reinstated. Everyone is reinstated. It might not be those people, but they're reinstated in January.
What happens contractually from September to November? How do you fulfill their reps? And all of that contractually from September to November with the schedule that we have, with the 6-week rotation, if they'll reinstate possibly in November, how does that work schedule?
That you're going to have to ask the administration. I can't answer that. I'll be right with you. I know
So-
that. I'm trying to.
Kathleen, can we explain to them that this is all preliminary? We could still make changes. We have 1 month to make changes. This is a
So,
preliminary budget.
The final budget approval. Hello.
Terminate already, and you're talking about we can make changes. Why did we wait to make these changes? And I think you have not answered. I've heard excuses, and I think we deserve to
I'm
know
not.
more
I'm
than
not
we
giving
do.
you.
Teachers deserve to know.
So I want you to know something. I don't pride myself on cuts. I don't want any of these teachers to be lost. But you have to understand that we don't have, the way the state operates is that we don't have enough revenue source. And the only way to get additional revenue beyond what we have right now is to raise the levy, period.
Right, so why
Stop.
did we do it?
Wait, let her finish, let her finish. No more speaking out, or you're gonna have to leave.
As Andrea stated, please show us the respect that we show you, because if you continue to have, if you continue to have outbursts, you're going to ask to be removed.
And someone mentioned before, they didn't like the idea that we were in an executive session, but we had to finish something there that was very, very important. It's not the norm, but it had to be finished in executive session. So when we came out and there was booing and saying that that was shameful, I'm sorry that you disagree, but sometimes it's protocol and that's what we have to do. I'd like to address this gentleman right now. So your question was? So our audits are done at the end. Go ahead.
So I have this interesting vantage point. I'm in the middle of the room. And so politically, there's a lot of politicians in the world, but when it comes to Board of Ed, nobody does this because they want to be punished. They do because they genuinely care. So Mr. DePascal, you've been handling everybody with summers. I wouldn't want to be sitting up there.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
So an audit or financial consultants or having somebody else come in and providing that transparency, because what I'm watching is these people, and myself included, don't know what's going on, have a lot of questions on K, right, quote unquote. You're trying to answer them in a session like this, but an audit or a financial consultant with transparency would insulate every one of you and have that communication barrier bridged with these people, and I think you'd have a better meeting in the future. So when you say you don't need an audit, maybe I'm using the wrong word. I do believe it's an audit, but I think an audit would be beneficial to every member on the dais.
Okay, I was taking audit differently than what you were, the meaning of the audit differently. Okay. Thank you, though. I appreciate your comment.
I believe it is. Our state audit is on the website. It is. Not only is it listed, it's discussed in open session and then listed online. So all that information is talked about, it's presented, and it's available.
When does the audit happen? Because I actually looked for the audit today and I couldn't find it. So it's probably attached to agenda. So when is the audit done and then presented? Just roughly month. So we can.
I want to say November, December. I think it's approved at the December board meeting.
Okay. Because it doesn't have like its own tab. That's all.
Thank you.
Now, can I just ask you something though? Instead of cutting the teachers, could we move money and look for savings somewhere else?
Okay, so that's what I was just going to bring up now.
Do the cut the busing, cut the other things that are not crucial to educating of our kids, so we can continue the education without disruption.
So it's a very good comment, and I really appreciate your comment. And the reason why I think Mr. DePasquale said to everybody today that this is the tentative budget for submission to the county. The next board meeting, which is April 26th, is the final budget. What we want to do in the interim is maybe look to see if we can possibly.
I'm all for doing away with the buses.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
You have to understand, right? And I'm going to speak openly and freely with you because I know most of you. I have a 7-year-old in the district. I don't want to lose any teacher that will impact their education. I was for doing away with the busing 2 years ago. I'm for doing away with it now. And hopefully that $350,000, which will not be $350,000 because there's still a limited amount of buses which we need. And because we're going from 8 or 9 to 4, I'm assuming the bus company is going to make a significant increase into that, which will also affect West Essex.
Right.
Because Fairfield is tied in.
Hold us over until November when we can actually vote on the.
That's what,
So the truth of the matter.
yes.
So the truth of the matter is,
Have no disruptions in the program.
So
that we keep, like,
so the board already,
music teacher that
the
has
board
money.
already asked our business administrator that question. But we can't give a definitive answer on exactly what will be saved because we don't know what the bus company is going to come back with when we tell them we're going from 8 or 9 to 4.
What if there's no savings?
Then we can't do it.
That,
Then why even, you know what's gonna happen.
wait, no, there would be savings of some sort. It's
Yes.
not going to be no savings, but our point, wait, can everyone hold it for 1 second? So basically what we want to hear is if we come back and we say that busing next year is going to be $1,000 per family, but we're going to keep the teachers and not get rid of all the teachers, would everybody be okay with that?
You'll keep these teachers today and not let them go?
Yes, it's a tentative budget, correct. Yes, you want to pay, if everyone's okay with paying $1,000 or whatever it is. No, we're gonna go back to budget and we're gonna go back and redo all the numbers and go to the buses company. You gotta, wait, one at a time or we can't have this.
and of course not, Tiffany, and I don't think anyone up here has taken it that way. We can't give you an exact increase on what the busing would be, right? And we hate more than anything to throw a number out there, but it's
I made that up.
approximately $1,400 more than we're paying now. Well, no, it's not a fake number. There's just no way to know based upon knowing how many kids are
Because they're going to tell
need
us
it.
that the gas went up and that they can't get bus drivers and that there's a bus driver shortage. So we can't
But you
put an
also, wait,
exact number on
I just
that.
have to inject something. So our transportation right now, there's 12 routes. We share them with West Essex. So when we share something, it's half of the cost. How would you feel if it was a relative of yours and all of a sudden they pulled out of a deal and now you're responsible for the full amount? I don't know. I see you raising your hand, but just give me a minute. I don't know if that's going to be practical for the coming year, but we're going to explore it. I don't know what the ramifications will be if we just went to mandated busing. We'll explore it. And by the time we meet again, it's either going to be a yes or a no answer. Okay? I can tell you that.
But I guess what we're just saying is that an option? And you guys are okay with that?
But I don't know how you can do that without 8 buses.
Okay, you mean?
I think getting away with something that is considered
I don't see it that way, so.
courtesy busing.
That's what they're asking, but I don't think
Always
it's.
work to employ educators who are in the classroom every day, educating our future. Because kids are our
100% agree.
So that is my strong opinion. I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. I know it's difficult when things are taken away, but if it's between employing educators in the classroom, I think it's all worth it because at the end of the day, they are making our future better.
Correct. And that's why since 2017, I've been trying to get rid of buses. Okay, just one at a time.
Just my question, since Anthony had mentioned and you all had mentioned that West Essex shares our busing, right? Sending districts don't use busing, right?
Right.
So what's happening with that? So is Fairfield paying into West Essex? West Essex is giving us a little, we're giving West Essex a little, but yet the other sending districts aren't doing anything? So that's where, like, what's happening there?
I don't know what the other sending districts do
They don't have buses
at all. So how do
At all.
how do the kids get to school?
They got to get to
So
school.
from what I understand, for the
Some buses?
My question is, we had mentioned that it would come into play because now we have a contract, whatever, with West Essex.
More than 2 miles, yes.
Whatever. West Essex might go up a little bit, but are we paying into West Essex a little bit
Right.
too?
we split the route with them. We split it 50-50.
Saying is we are
One
paying
at a
into
time.
West Essex too, but yet North Falls not paying into West Essex. It's
Hold on.
12.
Let me address this. I've been on the board a long time, and as a lot of you, I grew up in this town, went to the schools, and the referendum's a different thing, but nothing has changed since then. And a lot of these added expenses that we're seeing are projects that have to happen, which were going to be part of the referendum. But unfortunately, with the referendum failing, those costs now need to happen now because we just can't continue operating those buildings and allowing them to deteriorate. So those costs that were going to be part of the referendum and not be part of the budget now have to be part of the budget. But that's besides the point. Now let me go back to the buses. I just want to,
That's a valid point. You just said, you answered a bunch of questions with what you just said. So now we're taking money that was supposed to be part of the referendum. We're not using it there. Now we have to take it out of our budget. So you're explaining a little bit.
so I wanted to, you're welcome. So now regarding the buses, the buses are, there's a couple ways, now a couple things. Now you said about everybody paying. Yes, North Caldwell, Roseland, even Essex Fells and Fairfield pay for the West Essex. It's part of that, as Kathleen said, it's part of that whole agreement with the buses. It's called tiered service. Now, if West Essex wasn't part of this whole thing, our bus cost may have been $1 million a year. So we are all paying it. All 4 sending districts, including West Essex, puts money for the West Essex buses. North Caldwell has subscription busing also. No subsidy. They don't subsidize. Roseland has subscription busing also. They've both been. Essex Fells, they're just a different animal. They don't have anything. So we have always provided what they call courtesy busing. And what courtesy busing means is everybody gets a bus. Now, mandated buses, you heard Kathleen said mandated. Mandated means 2 miles and above, by law, we have to provide that bus. So there still is some transportation costs. Now, as Anthony mentioned, or Mr. DePascal, I'll keep it formal, as he mentioned earlier, we were talking about it prior to him getting on. I was on the board, and we had a large audience who said no. And contrary to belief, we listened. And that was a big no. And we said, as a board back then, and the members who are on here now and back then, and others who are no longer on here said, all right, the district doesn't want that. The families don't want that. Let's find something different. And you continually try to find something different. But unfortunately, eventually the tax man comes and says, there's nothing different. We need the dollars. And now that's where we're at with the buses. We have still, and it was a difficult decision last year, we still subsidize some of the busing costs because, as was mentioned, and I'm not going to throw out numbers because even the numbers of $1,000, whatever, those are just farce, and I don't want to be quoted on giving a number. We figured out what was the fairest way to do busing, subscription busing, without making it painful. Listen, $100 is painful, $600 is painful, whatever the cost is, it's painful. But we were trying to find an easy way to ease into it. Unfortunately, it's come to a head sooner than we expected because of all the other costs that I mentioned before. We can remove the subsidy, and it will cost big time for families. Is that what I want? Listen, my kids don't take the buses. They're out of the district now. I don't want that for anybody, but it's a tough decision. And when you're sitting here and you have a room full of individuals who say, no, you can't do that to us, we listen and we don't do that. We have a room full of individuals who are saying, listen, we need to revisit it. We'll revisit it. As Kathleen mentioned, this is a preliminary budget. By law, we have to go into the state and say, here's what we're proposing as a balanced budget. Here's what we're going to propose as additional questions, and there's 3. It's a little weird, but there's 3, so I'll try to explain that. You can vote for 1, 2, 3, all 3, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, whatever you want. It's an opportunity to say, I think this is a priority versus this. Now, number 1, as Kathleen mentioned, is the programs and the staff. We feel as though that is the biggest one. Now, there's other things that are mixed in there, but that's the biggest priority. The bus aids, I heard somebody mention the bus aids. Just because it's there doesn't mean that, oh, you know what? You guys are finally, bending and getting a bus aids. No, we're giving you the opportunity to say, is bus aids a priority? If it is, you vote on it, and that's $540,000. If you feel as though that's still not a priority versus everything else, you vote no on that one. And we don't have that in the budget anymore. So I wanted to make sure, because I think there was some differences, because in past, you always had one question that was always part, the school is offering X amount of dollars, this is the one question. We felt as though it was best to break it down so that you, as the voting members of the town, can decide what's your priority and which ones to vote on. So I'm hoping that clarifies things, and that's where, so the clarification of why there's 3 questions, the clarification as to the busing and the costs and why we still were peeling the Band-Aid off slowly, we can turn around and peel it off quickly. I mean, it's going to be a major factor for everybody. And then, of course, where some of that monies went, unfortunately, with the referendum failing, it cost us because we just can't allow things to deteriorate to the point where we're waiting for another referendum, which we're going to try for, but it just can't happen. It's like driving a car with a flat tire. Oh, you know what? I'll wait till I can afford that flat tire. You can't drive on it. It's going to destroy the rest of the car. So we have to fix that flat tire, and that's where some of the monies went to.
Roseland, according to their website, they partnered with Sussex County Regional Cooperative, and they still offer courtesy busing.
Well, I was under the impression that they do subscription, or they're going to be introducing subscription, but we are with the Sussex County busing also.
Right,
We're
we are.
underneath the same
Well,
consortium.
the school year, this past school year, I don't know what's gonna happen next school year, but right, this whole school year, they're still offering courtesy.
Then my comment is that I've heard that they're going to be going to subscription also because of transportation costs. Yeah, but I believe, and if I misquoted, I'm sorry, but I know that they're going to be going that direction because of the same issues that we are facing with transportation costs.
Hold on.
Go to people that didn't.
Yes, people that didn't go, okay.
People that didn't go yet.
Okay, back in the corner.
Okay,
2 miles by literally 0.1 mile to both schools. I'm fine with getting rid of busing. Here's my question. If I would want my child to walk to school, we put sidewalks in at Stevenson, don't we now have to pay for crossing guards?
No, they don't ask that. I asked that
But
last
how is
time.
my child who lives on the opposite side of Hollywood Ave? Because I'm not gonna be able to get to both schools, because if we take away busing, which is fine, I'm not gonna be able to wait on these lines. Now the drop-off line is going to be even more, but I'm okay with getting rid of busing, but I can't let my 8-year-old walk down Hollywood Ave and over the overpass to go to Churchill, because my kindergartner's not gonna walk. So how do we protect the safety of our kids if we're okay with getting rid of busing? But my safety of my child now, how am I gonna do? My husband's not home in the morning. It's just me. I literally can't be in two places.
I think you're touching on the point that if we did, there would be as many people opposing it as there are.
Opposing it, but I'm saying there's gotta be other cost factors that are gonna, I mean, we live on, we have a main road that goes over a highway where one of our schools is.
Thank you.
So we have to take that into account too. And I'm fine with getting rid of the busing. I pay for it currently. I would pay for both my kids, but there's, it just feels like it's all coming down to the busing and we're losing sight of the fact.
No, it's not. We just want, the budget, busing is a big part of the budget. $350,000 is a significant part of the budget. It's a significant part of the budget. It's,
$200,000 salary that hasn't answered one question today. That's supposed to be running day-to-day operation.
Okay. Warning, yeah, I have to give you a verbal warning. I'm sorry, or else I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. I need to keep everything under control and listen, we're all heated. We all are here for the same reason. We want the best for our children. Please keep that in mind. That's a warning for you now. I mean, it's really upsetting because, as most of you know, I've been here for a very long time. I've been trying to get rid of busing, but then we hear comments like that because it's true. We're worried about the safety of the kids. So then we keep the buses, and then we don't get rid of the buses. Then we're trying to juggle money back and forth. So you need to tell us, is it okay that you spend more on busing? And so you're gonna, okay, so are you gonna pick up all their kids?
could you guys do us a favor, please? And I
After one at a
apologize.
time,
Everybody that has
please.
their hands up, can you just momentarily put them down? Let Dr. Cicatelli finish answering several of the questions that were posed earlier. And then if what she answers with doesn't satisfy the questions you have, we will revisit the questions in the audience. Because I feel like we need to streamline the questions that were asked, and then we'll answer. And then if they're still not answered, we will reopen.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the questions I know is about the class sizes. So one thing that you wouldn't know is that we did decrease 2 sections for next year because of enrollment. So as of now, kindergarten only has 75 students enrolled. We currently have 5 sections of kindergarten, so we are planning for 4 sections for next year. So that is a class size that we needed to, a grade level that we took a section away. So that's one of our staff members right there that we needed to decrease to. That right now would put us at 18 or 19 students in a classroom for kindergarten, so it's not increasing. The other grade level that we are going to be decreasing is in 3rd grade. We have 86 students currently enrolled, so 4 sections would put 21 or 22 students in a class. So that's another section that we're going down. The other grade levels are staying where they're at. 6th grade would go down to 4 sections because our current 5th grade is at 4 sections. That would keep them at 20 to 21 students in a class. We're adding a section back to 5th grade, so we would have 5 sections that would put them at 21 students. 4th grade has the same enrollment, 21 students. 2nd grade is staying at 5 with 19 students in a class, and 1st grade is 19 or 20 students. So our class size is not terribly affected. If we wound up taking teachers from each grade level, then that's where our numbers would be impacted. And I think some of you were asking, why did you pick media, or why were you looking at world language, or another area like band? They're very important subjects, and please don't think that they're not. But when you're looking at, do we put 26 or 27 kids in a 4th and 5th grade class versus restructuring schedules that we have to try to cover world language or media, you have to pick where you're going to make the cuts. They're not good. No one's saying that they're good. Nobody wants to cut any positions or any programs. You know, I agree with what everybody was saying about the music program. Our music program is phenomenal. We know that we always send our students up to West Essex. We feed their program. They rant and rave about the students that come from Fairfield. It's not something that we want. But when you're looking at a budget that you don't have the funds to support every single thing that we currently have in there, where do you take the money from? We have cut so many different things. We've cut supplies. You know, we are looking at every little thing that we can possibly cut. So that's where we were with that, and you have to look at the impact as far as your class size. That was the biggest thing when we were looking at making the decisions as far as where the cuts would come from. So I hope it answers that. It's not a good answer because this is not where we want to be. And again, I think what's important is that everybody realizes that this is a preliminary budget. I think the reason why everybody knows about this is because we didn't want anybody reading an agenda tonight and asking, what does that mean, without understanding, and the people that it impacts right now, not understand what this could mean for them for next year. You know, so we were trying to be courteous to give them the heads up that this is where we are at right now. A preliminary budget doesn't mean it stays that way. If we can go back and revisit certain things, we will. I can't promise that it's going to make many changes or that we'll be able to bring back every program. We're not sure where that's going to be. Some of you suggested some things tonight, like the busing. Those are things we can go back and look at. I don't know where that's going to land us, but it was important to us that we didn't put an agenda out tonight, that people look and see letter K, that we're proposing to ask for additional funds come November to try to make sure we can keep these programs in January. We can't start in September, we don't have the funds. But that's where it is. So I know that some people felt that we were asking for these questions on the agenda, that if you voted no against them, that we wouldn't be cutting these positions. That's not the case. When we ran the budget, we were in the red. You can't submit a budget to the state in the red. It has to be balanced. It has to be in black. So you have to take that money from somewhere. So when you're doing that, and now we want these programs, we want these teachers to be here, we want everything in there, that especially in 1 and 2, because those were the things that were in our budget to begin with. 3, the bus aids is a separate thing. That is something that taxpayers have been asking us about. So that's why we put it as a separate question. If you want bus aids, then you support it. If you don't want it, that's fine. It was never in our budget. It doesn't need to go in our budget. It's up to the taxpayers whether they want that. But questions 1 and 2 are things that are currently in our budget. So in order for her to submit the budget and to try to get these things to pass and to reinstate them in our budget, she has to, first of all, put them on the agenda. They have to be voted on, and they have to be submitted with the budget. Otherwise, we can't put it out for vote in November. That is why it's there. So again, it's a tentative budget, and then in April, we will go over the final budget and explain what made the final cuts and what did not. Okay? Someone had asked how many special ed students we have in the district. We have 127 special ed students. I think everything else has been touched upon. Programs on HIB, I mean, we have them ongoing. We have our guidance counselors do lessons on a regular basis regarding, HIB and character education. They go into the classrooms and work on that.
Oh, the one question, which there would be no impact, but I just wanted you to touch on it, was the IEP changes.
Oh, well, no, the IEPs, I mean, they're mandated, they would not change. So, and I think when you asked your question, you felt we were going to where you said, I hope it doesn't reduce special ed, but that's to bring back the one extra special ed teacher that we would need.
Well, it just said it says reduce special education class sizes, so that
Right.
I would think would mean like reduce it by taking students out of it.
No, so
No.
what it means is that right now, let's say we have a group of 3 students in a class, if they're pulled out, or if they're serviced in the classroom, that teacher may pick up a few more students at the time. So they might have 5 or 6 students rather than the 3. Okay. Yeah, well, we do follow, yes. And if we go over numbers, then we're mandated to have an aide. So we wouldn't go out of compliance. Okay?
What about my question about government aid, state aid? Have we,
I thought Kathleen went over that. Did you go over state aid
Yes.
for additional aid?
Sure, of course we did. The state aid is given to us immediately on the 2nd of March.
Speak to the microphone because, thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry. The state aid is already downloaded into our state budget. Other grants, if they're available, we apply for them if it's specific to our district, yes.
so we look at all of those things to make sure that we're not missing out on any program money?
Yes, and that's what she specifically said about the
Yes,
ones we
so-
lost after COVID.
Yes, so normally they're federal grants that we go after, okay? And either myself or Megan Cafone does that especially for special ed. Entitlement grants, Title I, II, and IV, we apply for, and IDEA we apply for. So those are all grants that we apply for on a regular basis every year.
I'm going to go back to Lillian because I cut her off before.
So, basically, going back to how this is worded, is you're telling us, when you guys met together, this was the best case scenario that you could present to the state.
Kathleen?
So the wording comes from our attorney.
So, okay, yes, but collectively, you decided, looking at everything, the teachers, the different bands, getting rid of a speech teacher, whatever. This is the best case scenario that you guys collectively came up with.
Yes. Hold on, Lillian. They're talking, wait. So she wants to know collectively, or for question number one, that was the best case scenario. It's really reinstating the people that we lost. So the answer, Lillian, is correct, yes.
Correct, okay. So that means if you go back and
No.
we decide the bus is in, there's not gonna be another option. Because this is the best case scenario under the guidance.
No, that's what you answered the question wrong. What she's saying is if we go back to we came up with a scenario. You're saying now, like we said, okay, so busing, if we have to pay, I'm making up numbers, don't quote me on numbers, $1,000 a family, that's okay with you guys. So we now know that maybe we'll take away busing and maybe we can keep the teachers. Okay, busing, yeah.
Busing, just let's say it doesn't happen. This is the best case scenario that you are presenting.
What she's saying is that cutting all these programs is the best way to start the year off.
No, it's not the best way to start the year off.
Well, I think they want to know, wait, business-wise. Business-wise is the best way. On a human-wise, it's totally, it affects the child.
Yes.
It affects children need music as they're, especially with mental illness. You're getting rid of, the love of music and art and kids being, the expression. You're looking at strictly a business sense of budget-wise, but you're not looking at the human aspect of how the budget is impacting the child. You're getting so.
I think,
Lillian, if I may,
Yeah.
hopefully I can explain this and appreciate the support again. What Dr. Cicatelli just mentioned, they looked over it. It's, the board listens and we take the recommendations and we sit here and we go through being on here. And I think the gentleman here, it's like, you're absolutely right. There's no political aspirations here. I look forward to getting beaten up every month. So, so what we said is you're right. We have to run this as a business in a way. I mean, it's dollars and cents. So you have to look at it as a business. I'm sorry if I keep cutting out. But at the same time, we were looking at it as how do we affect the children the least? And I think Dr. Cicatelli mentioned it. Do we go ahead and affect class sizes, or do we get rid of programs, hopefully temporarily? And I stress that, it's hopefully temporarily. But the decision was, now we could have a completely different support here or different group of parents if we said, hey, you know what, we're keeping media, we're keeping world language, and we're keeping the music, but we're going to go from 20 kids in a classroom to 28 kids in the classroom. I bet you everybody in this room would not like that either, and we probably have a lot more people here complaining about that. So, so what we're, let me explain that in 1 second. So we looked for the best way to do that, and the best way to not affect the education is to keep the class sizes.
All right,
which
can
we all-
everyone keep quiet
we
so
all
that
felt was
everyone
the
can hear
best,
the
And
answers?
then
Yeah,
we
God,
would,
please,
we would
please
look
don't
at,
shout from the
we would look
gallery.
at, the programs. We cannot, and now, go ahead.
I'm taken aback. The way I read this is, are you getting rid of a speech teacher?
So what's gonna replace that when we don't have full blank?
Is that even legal?
I can't, I'm not going to answer that question because I'm only asking,
According to the New Jersey state curriculum that is
I
set down.
I won't know that. I'm gonna put the professional educators.
Offered the arts and the love of arts, special ed, which is speech. My child had speech education from when he was young, and it was a wonderful teacher picked up on his disability, and I thank these teachers for it.
So, hold on, I apologize, but Sue, can you answer that?
Yeah, so the services aren't being cut. We wanted to hire a full-time speech teacher in district. We can't afford to do that. So we are going to be outsourcing our speech teacher. We have one in-house, but the other services, to cover the other services, we need to outsource. So it is a savings to the district. It's not the best thing. We would prefer to have somebody in-house because when you have your own employees, it's much better. But you do save money on benefits. And so that's where we look to try to save some money. We have to service the kids. They have IEPs. We're mandated. So they will be serviced, but unfortunately, we can't service them through our own employee. Some of them will because we do have a full-time speech teacher in hand.
But you said you had 120-something children.
That doesn't mean they're all for speech. Right.
Right. And it's just not speech. Speech pathologists also deal with cognitive issues. So, and it seems like, can we say that you've noticed an increase in children with special needs? And now you're gonna outsource, but wouldn't you want to bring one on?
But my question to you then is, where do you get the money from? When you're over, but that's what we're trying to do. We need to increase the taxes.
One at a time,
That's what we need to
please.
do, is to try to increase the taxes so that we can afford to keep these things.
Shared services with West Essex? I mean, I don't know if people want that.
I thank you. Hopefully, Dr. Cicatelli answered you. We're going to move on to some people that
That
haven't
haven't gone
spoken
yet.
2 or 3 times.
Oh, she hasn't
LaCara?
spoken.
I have some really basic questions because I don't really understand much. So help me understand this. It is a proposed budget. So to me, that would mean that changes could be made and submitted up and through till this April.
Yes.
So the teachers therefore have been let, this cut, people have been notified, but they've not yet been let go. Is that right? And so that would lead me to believe that if we are somehow able to be very creative between now and April, whatever, and we're able to make up that difference for the 7 people and all the things that come along with them, that potentially we could come back here in a month with something much more palatable. So then my question is, from there, obviously you guys have that dollar amount in mind, like what's that number? So then my question becomes, we know what that number is. What are the ways to get it, aside from obviously we put the questions and in November, hopefully people vote, we get that money. But to stop what we don't want to happen, losing the teachers and all this, losing the services at this point in time, we know what this number is, what are our options? I understand and appreciate what someone was saying about looking into every single grant. And I would say that, I'm sure that you've done your due diligence. I would say that I would be happy, I'm sure parents would be happy to assist in that process, because there's probably all kinds of things from all kinds of places that could be applied for, and they're probably, it's very lengthy applications, but I think it's worth looking into if we know a dollar amount that we're trying to get to. That would be a piece.
So-
Another piece, just let me finish real
Yeah.
quick. Another piece would be, obviously with buses, we could get rid of that, we'll know that's X number of dollars, and then beyond that, I don't know if this is a thing, if it's allowed, is fundraising allowed to make up the difference, or do we donations allowed to make up the difference? I'm just trying to
Yes.
move it along, because to me, blah, 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 blah. Okay,
Yes.
great, we're just
So,
in the end, but in the next 30
yeah,
days, what do we do?
all valid points, and I think it's important, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian and Pat. It's not bridging the gap between what's needed from September to January, because when you submit your budget, it has to be submitted yearly, because hypothetically, what if it goes out to vote in November and it fails?
The state won't let you front load it.
The state won't let you front load the budget saying, you know what? We have enough money to carry these 6 or 7 teachers from September to January
November.
1st, or
Yeah.
September to January 1st, because if it, no, I just want to let, yeah, I want to let everyone know that if it was that simple, it would be an easier task on administration and the board to say, okay, let's come up with this amount.
Principal though is the same, the dollar amount, it sounds like the principal is the same, the dollar amount is larger. But so what I'm saying is, like, as I'm sitting here with all this, time thinking, I'm thinking, okay, can we even entertain, like, what is that big dollar amount? It's $100,000, whatever. No, whatever it is, what is that big dollar amount? And then is there a way for all of us to come together, to work together, to try to find a way between now and whenever this final is?
What's the bottom line for taxes? Is to keep, I'm sorry, did I mean to
But
cut you off?
taxes, but that doesn't
No,
matter.
but what I'm
We-
saying, is the total number, right, to keep all the teachers and to keep all the programs and everything else, if our taxes had to go up to be able to cover everything, what would that look like? Would it be $500? It was like $250 for an average household. So like, what would that be to keep everybody? What's the number?
Correct. Wait, hold on. And Kathleen, I believe that we don't have control over that.
Well, okay, so right now, at on the April agenda, there's normally a presentation, and we give you the tax impact based on the general levy. I'm also going to ask the powers to be here, Mr. McCluskey, to give me, again, if it changes or it doesn't change, is the tax impact based on the 3 questions. And that's how you would know that.
No, you need to explain to them where our portion of the taxes comes into the school. Because they want to know if we raise the taxes, like, we don't have that ability to do that. Do you understand?
I don't understand that.
Why did you let it get this far, though? You said before that the meeting that you had about the buses, that everyone flipped out because they didn't know what they were up against. So why, you had to get this debt that you're in, whatever, had to be over years. So at that meeting about the buses, why didn't you then propose and say, listen, we have to now have you people pay for buses, because if not, we're gonna lose teachers, we're gonna lose programs, we're gonna lose music, we're gonna lose art. So, because if you had went back and said to them, listen, it's either this or that, then they wouldn't have fighting you on the buses. If they know that we were gonna be here tonight fighting to keep teachers, fighting to keep the music program and the art program or whatever media, I'm sure nobody would have said, oh, you know, I don't wanna pay for buses. But you just went and said, listen, the buses are too much money, period. That was it. You never said, listen, if we don't get rid of these buses, or if you don't pay $1,000 for buses, we're gonna be here in a year from now, or we're gonna be losing teachers. Because if you had been, transparent and told us exactly what was going on, I think no one would have been here right now fighting what they're fighting.
I wanted just clarification. Didn't we not say that?
I can't hear
Can
her.
we take donations?
We did say that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we take donations?
What?
Can we take donations?
Can we take donations? I believe you can, but it's only a one-shot deal.
You can take donations,
Yes.
Dr. LaCara, but it's a one-time donation.
So wait, I'm sorry. The only thing that impacts us when you say over and over again, how did we get to this? And someone was generous enough to say, well, how about donations? Donations are a one-time affair. That's it for 1 year. No,
Why you got to this point? Why didn't you go to these people last year when you presented the buses? You gotta go pay for buses. But you know what? It's either pay for buses.
but it's just not.
We did. But we did do that. Yes, we,
You never said, I watched all your meetings. I never heard you say, you guys have to pay the bus, so we're gonna be firing teachers.
What is her name, Michelle? Maria.
We said, I can tell you that we can probably pull the minutes, but it was definitely specified that we'd rather get rid of the buses than get rid of other things. And everybody knew, it was, no, it was, staff was specifically mentioned. And what we're doing, and what we're trying to do tonight is, if everyone would be quiet, is just tell us.
Hold on. If, can everyone just take a second, give me a moment again. Hi, I'm back. Like I said, this is not only affecting you. Remember, everybody up here is a resident of Fairfield, and we're all in it together. We don't want to just make these, we're not making these decisions in a vacuum and saying this is what we're doing and forget about what you think. To go back to your question, we did. And I don't like the word transparency because we have been transparent. I don't want to hear, I'm not asking you to rebuttal. I'm just saying, I'm addressing what you stated. We've been transparent. For 5 years, as Mr. DePascal said, we've been mentioning buses. Now, did we specifically say, hey, we're going to lose the music program, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose? No, because you can't predict that 5 years ago. But we did state that if we continue on this path, services will be cut. We weren't, time out a second. Give me the respect that we've been giving you.
That's a warning. I'm going to have you removed.
Because we are raising the taxes. We raise it every year 2% according to the state. Not for the school. Not for the school. I'm not going to talk with you any longer. Now,
Can everyone quiet?
Let me continue on with other
Pat,
things.
go ahead.
So now you're also
Please listen to him.
So you also mentioned about other things where, where the monies go. Well, the state aid, the health benefits went up tremendously. No one was expecting that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say something that maybe some people won't like. The townships were allowed to go ahead and increase their budgets above their they get 2.5%. So they were allowed to increase their budget by over their 2.5% by the governor because of all the increases with utilities, the Biden inflation, I shouldn't have said that. The health benefits and everything else that were affected in New Jersey. School districts weren't allowed that. So how do you allow the townships to do that and they get 0.5% more on their budgets, but they didn't allow the school districts to do that? So there's a lot of things that came to head that we weren't expecting. We weren't expecting, I don't even know what it was, 11% increase? 11% increase. But that's 11% on health increase is a big chunk of money. So there's certain things that we weren't expecting that unfortunately we are not at liberty to go over the budget. And hence the reason why we're going for the 3 questions. Forget about the 3 questions. We're coming out asking for the voters, can we get more money to help bring back the programs that we had to cut in order to send the state a balanced budget? And that's the bottom line. Now, it's a preliminary budget. Can we go back and make some changes? Yes, we can. Will it make the big difference to bring back all the programs? Probably not. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It probably won't do that to bring back all the programs. It may bring back certain things, or we may be able to fund certain things. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the November questions. And as it was stated before, the state does not allow us to say, hey, we're going to give you a budget that's going to go ahead and hope that you pass in November. We can't do that. We have to give you a budget that starts July 1, and we're coming in saying, hopefully in November, you'll vote for the additional monies, whether it's question 1, 2, 3, a combination, whatever it is, so that we can reinstate these programs. It's the best we can do.
So the goal isn't to look to see if we can change things to sustain us, like whether, like we said, grant funding, raising funds or whatever, just to hold us, not till September, but to make this so a seamless thing.
No, see, once again, hold on. See, hold on 1 second. You're looking at $1.6 million as all 3. That's where you're right. But that, once again, you're looking at all 3. If you don't feel aides are important, you don't vote for that. That's $540,000 that won't be part of our budget any longer. It's broken down by priority, so we gave the residents an opportunity to say, you know what, this is my priority, this is my priority, or maybe all three are my priority, but it's not full.
Isn't it ideal, like, it might be pie in the sky, but isn't it ideal for everyone, like, if we could somehow make this work, we can make it work?
Of course.
Of course.
I asked to know.
Instead of fighting, let's come up with maybe ideas that we can make it work.
Well, that's why I said, why can't we cut other salaries? Hire out, why can't we cut them? And put into teachers that are gonna be gone now.
Well, I know a lot of
Everybody
people,
has a
I know a
contract,
lot of
yeah,
people,
yeah.
I know a lot of people,
That's the only reason.
contracts,
Yeah,
teacher contracts.
What if like the contract?
teacher contracts. I mean,
So it could be done, it depends on the contract.
I believe the board can, not defer to the board, but can they, and would they be willing to form an ad hoc community committee? I would volunteer to do it, where it's gonna be, work with you to help or assist. Of course, your answer would be final, but it would also provide communication to the public, so that there would be, so all this meeting could be condensed, over time between now and April and even.
That would be a beautiful thing.
So if you had like an ad hoc public committee, it would help throw in, not, and then they'd be able to report back to other members of the public. And they would, the community would feel like they have other people having a voice within the board. Of course, the board's final decision, whatever happens, but at least you have other people throwing their hands in. I'm just saying, if you would be willing to do that.
thank you. I'm sorry, yeah, in the front, she's had her hand up for about a while.
There's just a lot going on and it's starting to get confusing. So I have one question first and I'll probably have more later, but when you did the budget, before you made any of these changes, how short were we? What is the number?
Well, we were probably about, I would say, $600,000 short, maybe a little bit more than that. And then we prioritized what we had to put in, but understand, and you can't leave out insurance.
No, I know.
You
So when you
can't,
did your budget,
yes.
The starting point was we're 600 short. We need to come up with a plan because it needs to be zero, right? So
Maybe.
the shortfall initially was 600.
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher because certain things, as we started to consider the question, we wanted to include that in it, yes.
We were higher for sure, because we did about 4 or 5 different revisions. We were close to $1 million.
Yeah, we were
No,
close,
we were
we
close
were
to $1 million.
up there, but then a lot of that stuff was, let's put everything in, and then we had to take most of it out because we were trying to include things that were already in.
When you did the budget for next year, with the staff and programs before they were cut, to the best of your knowledge, with the increases in salaries and benefits and the insurance costs, and what was the number that we were?
Probably, I would say $1.6 million.
Right.
$1.6 million. But that was with things that were in the grants. That was everything that we wanted, that we knew that we weren't going to get.
What exists today?
Yeah, what
You
it did,
just
right?
run rate that for next year, and you layer in the increases. Don't add in new stuff. Just where we are today, and you just run rate that for next year with the known increases, the contractual increases, and that we know the insurance increases at this point. How short were we with that analysis? Just everything that we're doing today. Keep going for 12 months. How much money are we getting? What's the difference?
Well,
here? How short?
We didn't run it that way, Rose, because we put in like the speech teacher, the custodian, certain things that we were hoping to add because.
No, not add, let's,
But I'm
what if they're-
saying we didn't
okay.
run it that way. So
Okay.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that piece because when we were putting the budget together, we were trying to figure out, well, how much is it going to cost us to have a full-time custodian?
So
You know,
one thing that I want to say, I think you need to do that immediately. And I think we need to know what that number is because you have our full support. We keep saying that salaries or benefits are 80 to 85% of the cost. They are 100% of our assets. So we need to do that first. And you have, you hear us, we're all here. When we get to that point, when we know that number, it's going to happen. There's going to be a shortfall. We get it. Everything has raised like crazy. When we get to that point, we know that number. Look at all the support you have. Listen to everybody screaming, yes, we will pay. I think we need to understand what we're talking about more, and everybody needs to keep their emotion to a normal level so we can have this kind of conversation. And we don't expect you to have all the answers right now. So that's my first suggestion. Let's do that just as fast as possible and figure out what that number is. and then talk through, what the busing and other cuts might be, and we're not gonna solve it here and now. Let's just talk about proactive steps and reassure you that we hear you, we get the extra cost. We will support you when we understand what we're talking about.
You, sir, in
With
the
this
back.
weird
With
pink
the
shirt,
salmon,
yeah,
salmon. I was gonna go salmon.
pink.
Besides services and programs and staffing and teachers, what opportunities have been looked at in reducing administrative costs? As well as what other synergies have been explored, synergies with combining administration with the other sending districts?
Or one for two buildings.
So, like stated earlier, the administrative leaders that we have now are under contract. Like the teachers,
Right.
very similar to the teachers.
I think we are.
Contracts, administrative contracts come up every so often. I don't think we have any administrative contracts. They're tenured. Outside, well, the principals are considered administration, and a bunch of the people in the audience that I spoke to earlier today asked, why don't we get rid of one principal and have one principal monitor two schools? Is that really what we want?
I believe so.
Real quick, just to, there is a state law. There is a state law, and I don't have the number, but there is a state law which dictates how much of a percentage your administrative costs have to, or can be. And like I said, I don't have that number. I used to remember, but there is a law. So it's not like you can go ahead and just create these administrative costs and just let them go out of control. There is a state law that states that you have to be under a certain percent. And we are under that. We've always been under that percentage.
I'm sure it doesn't meet the state law percentage.
Right.
It does seem to be disproportionately high per student.
But that, I'm just saying, so we are by law, and we are under that percentage.
Just about everybody under it by law. I'm just saying, within, you can still be under the law and statistically higher than disproportionate to other, per student to other districts.
Wasn't Ms. Fitzpatrick tenured? How'd she get laid off?
Excuse me,
Wait,
can you?
I did. I'm sorry. I pulled on her with the glasses.
Just adding on to what he said, maybe it's not combining principals, but just looking at the administration, supervisors, testing coordinators, were they looked at or were just teachers looked at?
They are
Yes, they have
teachers.
contracts,
Susan?
so do
Teaching
teachers.
coordinators are teachers. The testing coordinators are teachers, they're not administration.
Right, but it's still a cost that could be looked at. It's not affecting a program like.
But they also teach. They also teach, so they do work with our students as well. So they do have a teaching load.
All the administrators combining roles,
Well,
there's.
no, because the workload as far as managing the buildings, you need somebody there. So we don't have a lot of administrators. We've got 3 administrators at the building level. That's it, in the district.
Right here in the front? Yeah.
Hi, Tracy Ripa. I just wanted to ask, I know that based on what we said at the shortfalls, and I think what Rose said is exactly right. We need to do exactly what we have today and bring that forward for another year and then find out what that deficit is. Based on the fact that we're increasing class sizes and we had to reduce teachers, what happens to the cost we're paying for the trailers?
They're bought, we own them.
We own them.
Can we sell them?
Can we sell them?
Yeah.
Well, eventually,
But, well,
Yeah.
they will become, no, and,
You're gonna reduce the number of
yeah.
classes.
I thought we were renting them, no?
Yeah, no, we're not renting them. We went over this in several meetings, and it was actually cheaper to buy than to sign a leasing agreement for several years, but they will ultimately become the board office.
and Tracy, we didn't increase class size. I just want to clarify that. We didn't increase. That's what,
Yeah, but we took away like 4, like we had 4, or 5, we took.
that's
down to
because
4.
we're down to, there are only 18 kids in the class. I'm not going to put 13. I can't justify that.
No, so I'm not saying, so class size, I mean, we reduced the number of classes.
Correct.
Is the right statement.
Right,
So
in
reducing
two
the
areas.
number of classes tells me that I don't
Okay.
need to put kids in trailers, right? And so I was hoping that maybe there was.
Well, it
an
doesn't
offset.
necessarily work that way either, because you may have a reduction over at Stevenson, but Churchill is bursting at the seams,
Okay.
right? So
I'm just curious because there's a lot of people.
Okay, so, over there in the right?
So I just want to make sure I understood when you were talking about the number possibly for aides. Did you say it was like $225 per bus to have an aide? Is that?
It was $225 per day times 180 days.
To have an aide though?
Yes.
Is that including the bus driver or is that just?
No, 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 that was just for the aid.
So how does that cost more than a teacher in your classes or like?
It's not more than a teacher.
It's a lot more than a sub makes for a
It was,
Well, a sub is not paid benefits, nor is it a full-time employee, nor does the daily wage equate to what a contractual wage would pay for a teacher.
Shh. Can everyone give hers?
it's $225 per day. The aid on the bus, because don't forget, it's doing,
right, they're not our
I
employees.
can't hear you. I'm sorry. I
Wait,
can't
one at
hear-
a time, one at a time. Let her finish. She has the floor. Can everyone be quiet down? Please, give people respect so we can hear them.
Is that 225 divided by the 12 buses, or is that 225 per bus?
Per
Per
bus.
bus.
So that doesn't make sense.
Here, let me explain something. Let me explain something, because here's how the bus situation works. I guess I'm the bus expert here. So the aide is not a district employee because the buses are not district-owned. So therefore, the bus company dictates the cost it would be for their aides. So we would be hiring aides, but they would be the bus company's employee. So the bus company dictates the cost, and the cost is $225 per bus per day. But that's, I'm not debating that, but that's through, the bus
Yeah.
company and all that, and that's through the contract that we all work with the consortium with the bus company. No, we cannot. We cannot. By law, we cannot.
So who contracts the aid? The bus company.
It's their employee.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the District of Fairfield. It has to do with the bus co-op, which goes directly through them, which sets the dollar amount, not Fairfield.
Okay, so where was I going?
Go to Tiffany and then go to
Tiffany?
Jenna
Tiffany.
South.
I just want to kind of go back to, I think, what brought the majority of us here and what Dr. LaPara has said previously. So I think most of us here are here because of the reduction in force, that K item that we all brought up. And from what you had said, we were about, I don't know, 600,000 to $1.6 million deficit. And if you subtract the busing and divide it amongst the 705 students that we have enrolled as of the March numbers, that can range anywhere from $354 to $5,700 per kid. I think we're looking for an immediate answer to save our teachers by May 15th. So if it takes paying anywhere from $354 to $700 per kid, I have 3 of them. So, I mean, maybe I'm outspoken and maybe somebody has to fundraise for that. But I think that the townspeople would do that to save our teachers immediately and then come back in November.
And then we'll talk about
the
the other stuff.
the budget going forward. So I think really, if you erase everything that was said tonight, I think the main reason why we're here is to come up with an
Oh, it's $250 a day.
to save our teachers by May 15th, and then we'll come back in November to
Yeah.
support an increase in the budget.
I have to check that tomorrow though with her email.
Well,
We're music teachers in West Essex. She does listen. But that's, I mean, as soon as I found out that this was happening, I don't have kids who go here. I
don't work here, but this will affect me, and I can tell you all now that the teachers in West Essex know this is happening. And I'm gonna go and tell them for sure that all of you are here as parents to support them. The damage is done. You've put this item on paper, we've seen it, and now teachers know that this is maybe not the safest place for us to be. And it's maybe not the safest place for us to work. So the damage is done.
Hence what I was saying about this town not being the town it used to be.
And it's damaging, like my son has been talking about joining band since he was 2. And now there's no band for him to join potentially. And I know he's only in 2nd grade, he's going to 3rd grade next year, but we know as music educators, and our media specialist asked us to chime in on it too, that these things, if they're not in our elementary programs, they're not going to join us in West Essex. They're not. Like, this is when we bring them in. They get all of this in elementary school. It's a vital time for the kids to be exposed to everything. And if it's not there for them to be a part of, then they're not going to look for it when they get to middle school because they've got so much else happening in their lives and in their brains, and they're already established in other things. So
It's gone, it's gone. And if you're the ones who make it gone, that's your legacy.
yeah. So we
I want to take a second to comment about that, to the music teacher. I want to take a second to comment because I take personal offense to that. I'm a West Essex graduate, and my kids were band kids, and yes. So to say that it's our legacy and once it's gone, and we've now created a poison environment, I take offense to that because it's not an environment that we want to create, and we're not saying it's gone, as you're making it sound. We're saying that if right now, we're coming into a shortfall. And we're saying right now that we were looking at, and I go back to, I forgot who it was, but we put a priority, class sizes versus some other programs. Trust me, music to my family is huge. And I'm not saying it's less important than anything else, but when you have to put priorities, and life is all about priorities, do you now go ahead and make classroom sizes 28 students, or do you have a music program, which is only temporarily removed? Because if the question is approved in November, guess what? The program is back. So call it a hiccup, call it whatever you want. It's not completely removed. It's up to the residents here to say, this is important to us, as it is. I'll tell you, I would vote for it because it's important to me. I will vote for it, but it's not gone, and to say that that's our legacy because it's out there now and it's been toxic. I disagree with that.
Tammy? Oh.
I didn't ask for. He will know. The student, when you go to apply for a job, you want to know that you have a safe place to be. That's why I'm.
Well, I think to state if it's a legacy, we wouldn't have put it on the ballot. We could end the program, not put it on there for the members of the community to vote on. And that would be truly a legacy that we wouldn't want. But that's not the case. We're doing everything in our power, and we have nothing else to cut. Nothing.
No administration cost being talked about.
Administrate, you keep asking the same question, sir. Our administrators are under contract, like our teachers are. We can't cut their salaries.
Tammy?
So I just have a couple questions based off of what was said. Last year, we were told that we're running out of room and we had to bring 3rd graders to Churchill because there was no space. Now we're being
Busting out of the
told
seams, as
that
she
there's
said.
a decrease in the number of kids. Did that many kids move away? Because the last time I checked, Fairfield is building on every piece of grass that we have left here. That's bringing in all of these extra kids, and homes are getting turned over because older people are leaving, and that's fine. But we can't fit everybody. So how are we decreasing in the number of kids
Hold on, I got this one.
now when just a few months ago we were increasing and bursting at the seams?
Let me address that real quick. We didn't say there was a decrease in kids. What we said is, no, here's how it works. If you look at this, let's look at the current situation. You have, and I'm just going to throw out numbers, it's not probably exact. You have 4 sections, 6th grade, 5 sections, 5th grade, 4 sections, 4th grade, and let's just alternate. The 4 sections of 6th grade go up to West Essex. You have 5 sections of 5th grade. They now move to 6th grade. We're going to keep those 5 sections. You had 4 sections of 4th grade going into a 5th grade that had 5 sections. Well, we don't need 5 sections anymore, so we're cutting a section. So that's what they're doing. They're rearranging the schedules and so that we don't have the class size increases. And you are absolutely correct about the increase in population. We did a demographic study, which we presented twice now, and it's happening. So the busting out of the seams from prior meetings also indicated that it's not just not just enrollment. You have specific classroom needs, special education needs, you have specific basic skill needs, you have specific needs. So hopefully, maybe I'll address that. So what happens is, they need specific classrooms to do what they do. So what we're currently doing is, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, because I know you've said it multiple times, and if I misquote, please correct me. We're sharing classrooms, using hallways, or doing other things. Hence the reason why, and I go back to the referendum was asked because it will address those issues. So even though, maybe you see that this year attendance goes from 700 to 690. Oh, we lost 10 kids next year. We have space. No, we don't. We're now going to be able to maybe adjust a classroom that's being shared, and maybe now give them a classroom each for at least 1 year until the enrollment goes back up. So.
Now, if I may ask this question, because we talked about reducing or increasing the number of special ed kids, so kids who get pulled out that have to go to a special ed classroom, right, for their resource or whatever it is. So if it used to be 3 kids, now it may be 8 kids. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of moving into smaller groups for kids with IEPs? Because a teacher who has made a huge impact on my son is one of them who was let go. And when I told him today that he will no longer be teaching, my son was devastated, and my other one coming up was devastated. So if my kids, both of them, have IEPs for different reasons, and now they were learning better in that 3-person group, but now you're telling me it may be 8, maybe 10, and maybe 12. We don't know how many it's gonna be.
But Tammy, forgive me, we said 3 to 6, and after a certain number, there would be an aide, which would break it down to 1 on 3 and 1 on 4. So
But we're getting rid of a special ed teacher to bring in an aide to cover the difference of kids?
Until the budget's passed, until the question's passed.
Well, if we go over the compliance, you have to, right? So hopefully, if the budget questions pass in November, everything's impacting. There is nothing that we talked about tonight that does not impact our students. Nothing. No one's saying that any of this is good. No one's saying that.
I'm saying, let me finish, the impact of the teacher is worth more, a special ed teacher is worth more than bringing in the aide. So how many aides would you have to bring in?
Well, you're asking us to look at a schedule that we don't have built right now. So, I mean, we do have, we do.
You had to bring in 4. Is that almost the equivalent to 1?
They're not paying benefits.
Right, there's no benefits, correct.
All right, fine. Either way, it's ridiculous.
Can I just have each person, I'm gonna have each person come up into the microphone because and I'm gonna start with her with the blonde hair. I'm sorry, what was her name? Yeah. Yeah, right here. She has blonde hair, doesn't she have glasses on?
Whatever you want to call it, it's fine with me. How much money is in the capital reserve?
About 1.3 million,
How much?
about 1.3.
Okay, thanks.
And by the way, you can't, excuse me, the capital reserve is just for capital projects. You can't use that to fund the general operating budget. A roof replacement.
Floors, walls?
Is that going to go towards the rules?
Yes. Yes. In the back, in the green, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got the color right,
Oh,
correct?
okay.
Good. All right.
So my question is not as much a question as a request for clarification, because I heard early on that there was concerns about misinformation And I know that there is often the term transparency thrown around, and that can be very emotive for both the board as well as the public. So my request for clarification is just to help summarize some of the great feedback that I think we've heard throughout the conversation from Mr. Frieda, from Dr. Cicatelli, and from others. Our understanding is that there was a shortfall with the budget. We cannot submit to the state in red. We therefore had to find a solution. The current proposed preliminary budget as presented today with the items in item K, items 1 and 2, which are currently items in our funding that now have to be, unfortunately, resolved, are now items that have been proposed, right? The staff that is impacted by that have been communicated to. So to the earlier statements, unfortunately, that message is now out there. That consequence is there. It's not final. They're still contracted through the end of the school year, but that would be an impact for the start of the September 2023 school year. However, I think what you're hearing from some of the members of the community is they're trying to understand what happens between now with this preliminary budget and what will happen ahead of the April meeting. So you've heard people offering potentially even one-time donations, right, from their own pockets. There's a discussion of busing. That busing may be one of the most material items that could potentially contribute towards addressing or removing or maybe eliminating some of the items that have already been potentially proposed, right? However, I think what is not yet clear is what the public can expect in terms of information. I heard that from a busing perspective, there was a discussion of subscription busing and there's a subsidy. Now, the subsidy could be removed. That would be a direct impact to anyone who chooses and elects to then participate in subscription busing. I know there were numbers suggested. I don't choose to quote them because I think that those were indicative at best, and I'm very sensitive that people could walk away with a misinterpretation of that number. But I think it's fair to say that you would need to evaluate and come back with a proposed impact if you were to eliminate the subsidy. The other option would be to eliminate subscription busing entirely. In doing so, you also indicated you cannot give us an actual direct cost. I know a mention of $350,000 was thrown out. However, that number was caveated on the basis that since we share with West Essex and some of the other consortiums, our choice to move down to 4 buses could ultimately mean that our overall ratio and contribution to the cost may not be a full reduction of the 350. It may be something much smaller than that. So again, that may produce some potential budget that could be then redistributed, but it's not clear if that would fully cover the full shortfall. And I know Tiffany tried to get a specific number. It sounds like we don't have a specific number to quote of what the immediate shortfall is to fully resolve both items 1 and 2 in item K. But I think what the public would benefit from is understanding, as a board, I think we've heard your commitment to go back and reevaluate. And before the April meeting, look at any and all options. I think you've heard strongly from the community that we echo your sentiments that the teachers and the key programs for our school that contribute to the value of the education of our students are what we value most, and that people are willing to participate in the process, even so far as potential one-time donations. However, I don't think people are clear on what those steps look like. I'm expecting that the next time we will hear from it will be when you propose the agenda for the April meeting. But please clarify if there is any other information that will be made available to us ahead of that, or just to let people understand that you're giving us a commitment that you will walk away and evaluate the options and come back with any proposed changes as a result of those determinations.
Yes. That's a very good summary.
Huh? What?
What was your name? I'm sorry, you didn't.
Sorry, Allison Miasso, 7 Southampton Drive.
Would you like?
Excellent summary. Thank you.
There's a seat available for you. I think you'd be the perfect candidate.
So I guess the summary that we want to just go over is we're going to go back and Sue and Kathleen are going to come back with a number of keeping everything the way that it is now, minus busing. And we're going to come up with a number. And that number, wait, hold on. That number is going to be whatever you said, like let's come up with a number, $600,000-$700,000. Call a special meeting. And how about we'll figure out what stays and what goes. And maybe we could keep everything and pay for busing.
So I just asked Mr. Frieda and Dr. Cicatelli if it would be possible to call for a special meeting so that you're not hit with these alternatives before the April election, and they said we can. So you're asking for our word that we'll do our diligence to find out exactly what that number is and how would it impact everybody to save the teachers. We will make a commitment to do that. With spring break coming, you just have to realize we need you to be flexible. We'll find out the information, and because obviously we can't do it during spring break, and that takes.
Yeah. You can.
Well, we really would choose not to because most of the town's going to be away. And we want to be as transparent with as many people as possible. So with that being said, we can find out the shortfall, exactly how it would affect everybody, have the numbers in regards to the bus company. Again, they won't be exact because until we know the final number and who opts in and who opts out, but we will know the shortfall and then what it would be taxed on every, how many students?
710?
705 students, what each family would have to contribute in order to retain those teachers. So we will do that. We will do it ahead of,
But we need you guys to come back.
yeah, we need you to come back. We need you to come back.
I am totally confused.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, if, I want to be clear, you're going to come back with.
Options.
Options.
I just
Oh, yeah,
wanna
come
ask
on, yeah.
One question. So you're going to come back with an exact budget of what we have today, with subscription busing, with everything, and then a list of options and the cost associated so that we can discuss each of the options to make up whatever that shortfall is. That's, you're not going to just come back with the busing out and that's the number. I want to make sure there's
No.
options.
Options.
Yeah,
Okay,
Options.
options. Okay, that's all.
I think they're,
Okay. Okay, at this point, we're going to move on to the. We're enrollment? Where are we at? Personnel? Enrollment. Who does? All right, so now everyone's going to leave and not hear the rest of the meeting.
All right, can everyone please keep it down?
So we could just get the rest of the items going? Sue,
I didn't either.
take it off at number 3, enrollment.
All right, we're going to actually move on to number 4, personnel.
Okay.
Under certificate staff, to approve the maternity leave as listed. B, non-certificated, to rescind the employment of the playground cafeteria aide at Churchill. For number 2, there's a revision to this resolution. It is just to accept the letter of resignation retroactively to March 2nd of 2023. For number 3, to approve the assignment change of Nicholas from part-time custodian as listed. And that's it for personnel.
motion?
Motion.
Ms. Altai?
Yes.
Mr. Egan?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
He ran out.
Okay.
Mr. Frida?
Mr. Frida? Yes. And Mr. Jandali?
Yes.
Mr. DePascal? Yes.
Oh.
I didn't call you?
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
It's all right, she's a little frazzled. Under curriculum and program, we have the ESY program, so to approve the ESY program for the 2023 as listed. B, to approve the comprehensive equity plan extension for the 23-24 school year. The current plan approved in May of 2019 will remain in place. For C, to approve the professional development workshops as listed. Both are being paid out of IDEA grants.
Motion?
Second.
No discussion? Call the roll. Ms. Altai?
Yes.
Mr. Egan?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. DePasquale?
Yes.
Ms. Jandali?
Yes.
Under policy, to confirm the investigation results as reported at the executive session on February 16th of 2023 for WSCS number 6/2023, there was determined that there were 6 students investigated that satisfied the anti-bullying rights definition of HIB, and 8 of the students did not.
Motion.
Second?
No discussion. Ms. Altai?
No.
Mr. Egan?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
No.
Mr. De Pasquale?
I abstain.
And Ms. Jandali?
No.
Okay, thank you. I know I'm next, I'm just looking for something, A through P. Okay. I'm asking the vote didn't carry on that. It did not carry.
Can't have a discussion, Andrew.
It's just listed at the state as,
You can't have a discussion.
No, we can't have a discussion on this.
oh, we can't, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, no
Sorry.
discussion on it.
Wait till the end.
Right.
I don't think they are.
Let's wait till.
No, just wait till the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
We just have to get through, and then you have to hold the questions for the end. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking the board to approve the minutes on page 5, attachment A, bills and claims on page 5 as well as listed. Transfer of funds, the bottom of page 5 and the top of page 6. I'm asking the board to approve the secretary's report for February 1st through the 28th. I'm asking the board on items E, F, G, H, I, J. These are perfunctory resolutions that have to be submitted to the county office, and K, to approve them, and the additional proposals on page 9, I guess 8 and 9. And on page 10, I'm asking the board authorization to submit for the ROD grant application for Phase 1 and Phase 2 for the Wilson Churchill School replacements, and approve the change order for Van Oor Electric on the bottom of page 10 in the amount of $55,775. On page 11, I'm asking the board, with regret, to accept the resignation of Mr. Frida as a longstanding board member effective May 31st, 2013. I'm asking the board to also approve Resolution 0. We do not participate in the National School Lunch Program because we're under the 5%. Right now, we're at 4%. And to approve item P, building use applications on page 12. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second discussion?
Who made the first motion? I'm sorry. Brian. Anthony made the second. Any
So,
discussion?
Yes. Well, half the room is cleared out, so, but I'm going to go ahead and state it anyway. I mentioned it earlier with the failed referendum, how it has effects going forward, and some of those effects are, we're seeing it in in L, with roofing projects that were going to be part of the referendum now have to be part of the budget this year, and, you know, the electrical upgrades, so things of that nature, as I was mentioning, if we didn't approve it, now we have to go ahead and get those fixed. We just can't allow those to just continue to deteriorate and wait for the next referendum. So I just wanted to make a comment about that.
Wait.
There's no
No
discussion.
discussion, you have to save it till the end. Okay?
And also as N for my resignation, you all heard that already, but it's been an honor.
Can I have a motion? Ms. Altai?
Yes.
Mr. Egan?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. De Pasquale?
Yes.
Ms. Jandole?
Yes. Okay, so at this point, we're going to move on to any old business. Any new business?
I have new business. So we are currently finalizing the selections for the Community Outreach Committee. We plan on holding tours later on in the spring, and when that is decided and we have those dates, we're going to send out a blast.
Thank you. Any other new business? Okay, any committee reports?
I do have two, and I'm not being disrespectful looking at my phone and text messages. I'm trying to find the minutes from the reports, from the committee report. So give me a second. Here we are. Okay. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the committee report I'm going to give basically was pretty much covered in the last, I'd say 2 hours, but I'll go through it anyway. We did have a technology and curriculum meeting. We discussed the technology in the schools, and in order to save on costs, our tech department is finding ways to extend the leases on the Chromebooks and laptops and their uses, so that we didn't have to go ahead and look to budget to replace them in the upcoming year. So hopefully we can probably get another 2 years out of that. I believe we're going from a 3-year to a 5-year lease, which will help on costs. As for curriculum, I don't recall anything outstanding that was coming up into the new year, or any type of budget requests for curriculum. Susan, if I'm incorrect, please let me know. Thank you. Then we also had a personnel meeting, and I really don't want to talk about that, but we will. And due to short budget shortages, as we all know, there's going to be some staff and program cuts that were very difficult to make. But we do have a November question, one of the 3 questions, which will go out. And then, of course, as we go ahead and reevaluate and see what we can figure out, if there's anything that we can change between now and April, bringing back those programs, and hopefully going forward, they'll be part of the budget every year because they'll be voted in November. That was really it with the committee meetings.
Okay.
I had, Buildings and Ground Committee also met. We talked about the work that Anthony and Angela did to help us pare down the outreach committee, and thank you for the extra time you guys put in on that. We talked about swipe card access for the trailers. We talked about additional cameras for the schools. We talked about some additional telephones that were needed. We talked about some door hold open alarms system so that the administrative offices could know when some of the doors were left open. We talked about maybe looking at some improvements on the fence for the trailers. We talked about additional radios for two-way communication that were purchased. We talked about some of the ongoing repairs that we're looking to do at the Churchill Gym, and some of the roof costs that are roof replacement projects that we have to now schedule. We also talked about repairs that are needed to the master clock system. And we also talked about additional security measures for the trailers. And that's pretty much it for what Buildings and Grounds reviewed. Unfortunately, almost everything that we review creates costs and expenses to the district.
Oh, if I may, I forgot to add one thing with technology, which probably kind of fits in Buildings and Grounds. There is a need for a server room upgrade, and which school is it, Stevenson or Churchill? Churchill. And once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It was part of the referendum, but because of that, we kind of put it off. We're going to see if we can get away without having to do the upgrade next year. But if going forth, it's going to be needed because of the conditions of the room and the heat source and everything else. If you're in IT, having a small closet with a lot of computers and servers is not a good thing. So we're going to hold off on 1 year, and hopefully things will change for the following year, and it'll be part of a referendum. If not, it's going to be something that's going to have to be budgeted for next year, not 23, 24, the following year.
Correct.
Nothing, right? What?
We met.
Oh.
Get it.
I'm just saying, you want to say that. So when did we meet? What was the date, do you remember?
I don't have it in front of me. We're not doing the ROD grant, right? Yeah, we're not doing it. Yeah, there's nothing, without the ROD grant, there's nothing to report, other than the fact that we met.
Well, and I would just say that you talked about the personnel, you talked about.
So when we met with our special education meeting, we talked about a ROD grant that we're not eligible for, and personnel. And we listened to what the teachers had to say in regards to why they were making decisions that they were making. Administrators were making the decisions that they were making. And I could tell you that they were not happy. It's not something that they wanted. They all expressed how some of these teachers, one of which was talked about tonight, has made a big impact on several of the students that he has. So we understand that, it's not just the community and the board, but it's the administration as well that doesn't want to see these teachers go anywhere.
So with the ends of committee reports, just want to take a few minutes to thank you, Pat, for all your years of service on the board. And fortunately, or unfortunately, I've served 13 of them with you. And I can tell you that this is probably the most thankless job you'll ever have. And just to keep in mind that we're here and we do this for our community, and we go through all this stress and aggravation for no salary, basically. We do it because we do it for the children, our teachers, and we love our town. And thank you for your years of service.
Pat, I'm going to wait until your last meeting to thank you.
Yeah.
Just so you
Yeah,
know.
still have 2 more
I don't want to
meetings,
get
but I
too
just wanted to make
sentimental
it- Yeah,
with
no, I
2
just
more to go.
wanted to notate it because it was on the budget. And just wanted to try to leave it up maybe on a better note tonight. And that we are going to go back, we're going to try to work on this together, and because we're all here for one thing, and that's for our children and our schools. And obviously, we're all here for one purpose. So we're going to revisit it, and we'll keep you apprised on when our meeting will be. We have to look and see when we can get a special meeting, and we hope that and pray you guys come out. And the only question I do have can you tell me the HSA, how much the HSA raised last year at their fundraiser? I got HSA. Yes, how much did you raise last year at your spring fundraiser? 18,000? Okay. Profit was 18,000? Okay. And then what about our Fairfield Education? Do we still have that Fairfield Education Foundation? Oh, okay.
So I don't know the collective cost of all the multiple things that we've done.
Okay.
But our spring one, which was our biggest one.
I'm just trying to, yeah, just trying to get in our mind, because we know that, I know years in the past, HSA's brought a lot of money to the table to buy Chromebooks and buy this and buy that. I'm just trying to see where. Wish list, yeah.
That specifically was for the wish.
That's for the wish list, okay. And
But we will give you, we can give you a full breakdown.
that'd be great. And then if anyone remembers, it was Darlene Giselle, actually, that used to run. Do you remember the Fairfield Education Fund? It was almost operated like a 501.
No, well, we put one together and we started the LLC 5, 6 years ago, but we haven't really done much with it.
It's active. We're gonna start it. I'm pretty sure my husband started it.
We're gonna do it. Lauren and I volunteered to help Lauren with the Education Foundation.
That's it, the educate,
Thanks.
right?
Thing is in place. Every people before I was even involved had gone ahead and did all the necessary paperwork
That's what I thought. I thought there was some type, okay.
available. Now it's just a matter of actually.
There wasn't one when I came, though.
Oh,
They
okay,
started it. And you're right, your husband helped.
okay. So yeah, if we can fundraise through that, that's like another way to bring money into the district, that would be great. I'm just, trying to
100%.
give you guys ideas of ways that you can help us out. Okay, now at this time, we'll take public comments on non-agenda items.
I don't know, it probably is on agenda, however, can you just explain explain why repair to the roofs?
Name and address, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's Agnieszka Goliotto.
I want to hear it. For my final time, I want to hear it.
Addison
It's,
Drive?
No, it's actually 14 Bates.
Oh.
Why the repairs to the roof cannot be taken out from the savings that we have? So we cannot touch that, even for the repairs?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
that's where it's coming from.
So that's what it's coming from. Okay, all right, I was just confused. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any more public comments on non-agenda items?
Hi, Tyler Masterson, 21 Henrietta Drive. I know that you guys are working on the outreach committee for the referendum. Excited to hear that. What I would like to know is, ultimately in November, we're going to be putting something on the ballot for the elected budget. What right now is your timeline for coming out with when we might vote on the next referendum? And is it kind of written already? Is it half written? Where are we? And when are we thinking we're going to put that to vote? Because
So I could tell you that it won't be on the November ballot,
not this November.
not this
But
November.
we
And
have to have an idea of when we're thinking about
So
putting it out.
basically, if we were to resubmit the same exact plans that we had prior in our last referendum, it would be anywhere between 4 to 6 months. Right now, 4 to 6 months if we made 0 revisions. If we make 1 revision, it went from 6 months to 9 months, which would put us outside of that window. So once the community outreach committee is chosen, and there are, I believe, 6 or 8 that are already on the committee and have been officially asked to be on the committee. Once they're chosen, we're going to outline a bunch of different things that particular committee, along with HSA members and the town and town administrators, will actually be able to tour the schools while in session to see some of the challenges and why we need some of the things. Listen, we understand the schools are dated. We know, and it's just frustrating. And for those of you that are here, it's because you care enough to stay. This is not what we want. We don't want uphill battle after uphill battle, with the community and, creating separation and divide. We don't want to lose teachers. We don't want our kids to go to a school that hasn't been updated in 30 years, a school where the ceiling's falling apart and mold remediation needs to be done. So like Michelle said earlier, I think we all need to come to the realization that our schools are dated. We need to make changes. We can't always answer on the spot why things got to the point that they are, because unfortunately not all of us have been here. And for the people that have been here at the time, the decisions that they made with the best interest of the district in mind.
With regard to the future referendum, are you considering putting the same one out? And if so, why would you think it would have a different result?
It's really going to depend on the outcome of the tours.
Yes.
So when we have the tours and we get feedback from the town and we get feedback from the committee and we get feedback from the other groups that are going to tour the buildings, that will tell us where that's going to be. If it turns out that the same plan is what everybody agrees on, we can go with that and have a shorter time frame. If it turns out that there's a consensus that we need to do more, then we modify the plan. If there's a consensus that we need to do a lot less, then we modify the plan. So it's really going to depend on, once the tours happen, and the feedback that we get from the individuals taking the tours.
Okay. And last question about this. Do we have any indication, like voter personas in town? Because there's a lot of families with kids who, hopefully we can get on board.
What we're doing
But
differently.
versus senior citizens
Yeah.
who maybe just look at it as
So
a
what
tax
we're doing
increase.
differently, in addition to the groups that we mentioned earlier, HSA members, elected community members, we're going to invite the golden ages. We're going to try to reach every target demographic that we can to get them into the schools. Now, the tours that will take place during school session are to a select group that were chosen, either on the community outreach, members of the HSA, town and council. But the same tours will be available for every single member of the community to come after hours and walk through, hopefully with the principals. You know, like I stated earlier, suggestions, we go from 2 principals in Fairfield to 1. That's what members were being pitched today. That's the worst possible scenario to try to save money. It's the principals that are ones that are in the schools every day. It's the principals that are the ones that see the challenges and experience them, you know, daily. So now more than ever, we need the principals and the superintendent to kind of, you know, take part and walk through when we have these public openings and sessions for people to come through and see the challenges that the teachers face, you know, every single day. And I want to be completely transparent. Hypothetically, if we did do the same referendum that we did, and everyone's complaining that it was $30 million then, it's probably $40 million now, based upon inflation and cost of materials and everything else. So, you know, the realization back then, and I think it's important, and Brian, jump in, because you know the numbers better than I do. The referendum would have affected the average household a couple years ago.
$242
About
a year. Right.
in reality, it was probably about $350 a year.
$32 a month. $32 a month, and it was voted down 6-1.
Right. So we can appreciate everybody coming tonight and
6-1.
and asking for, you know, what's going on and where's the money and we'll give this and we'll donate that and whatever. But the reality is we asked for $350 a year.
Right, well, that's why I was wondering if there are any statistics on the voter turnout that year, because we have a lot of seniors
Well,
in our
keep
community,
in
and maybe
mind-
that's who
well,
voted.
keep in
Maybe
mind,
the
if we have to
families
go
didn't vote.
outside of the November ballot, which I feel we're going to need to, I think it creates a unique circumstance that the people that come out and vote are either purposely going to vote for it or against it. Being on a November ballot is open to a lot of discretion because people are coming out to make important elective decisions. President, like my particular election for the board was on President Trump's ballot. That's why the Board of Education votes were in the thousands when normally, if it's not a presidential election or a governor election, it's 400 or 500.
Right.
So
Okay.
maybe if we go outside, we're not purposely doing that. We'll never make the November ballot. It's
Right.
just not possible.
Okay.
And if
I don't wanna
if
take any more time. I
remember, it
just
was
wanted to know
about
if you had
1,000.
an
If I
indication
remember, I
of
thought the
when.
number was around 1,000 votes. And
I think I want to say it was like 700 and I think it was like under 200 to like 700 or 800.
yes.
Yeah. Yes. 500 vote difference, I'm sorry. Yes, 500 vote difference. Any other comments?
So I guess the important part would be to get people to come out and vote for the referendum.
Mr. Frida, thank you so much for your years of service. It's not the easy job. It's actually probably one of the most difficult jobs you can ever have. And it's the least, like, the thankless job. So thank you so much for putting your foot forward, getting elected, and making these decisions. They're not easy decisions, no matter what. At the end of the day, this is dictated by numbers and budgets, and everybody gets upset, and because none of us wants to see probably the teachers go out, kids affected. But I know you have to make those decisions, so thank you for your years of service. I would like to express that.
Frank Lamort, 4 Suzie Lane. I just want to say thank you for your service. And also, I just think the resounding theme here is that we all care about the kids. It's really, the one older man that was here was like very irate about, you know, what's going on. He, you know, raise the taxes, raise the taxes. If the older people in town really understood what was going on, they'd be okay with it. Like, I mean, that's not the typical response from somebody that age. So I think it's really important for us to influence everybody in this town. We talk to a lot of people, a lot of us are in business here. Really, that's the focus, because I think if we get everybody involved, the referendum will pass. Last time, I just don't think what happened wasn't, I don't know how or why it didn't get rolled out right, but people will vote for it if they understand what's going on, so. Thank
I
you for
agree.
everything.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that had a comment on non-agenda items? I want to thank you all for coming. Can I have a motion to, our next meeting, sorry.
meeting.
Oh, no, well, our next meeting will be held in person on April 26th, beginning 6:30, followed by executive session with public session resuming at 7:30, Fairfield Municipal Building. No further business before the board. The meeting is hereby adjourned. But don't forget, we're going to
Real
keep
quick,
it tentative.
the 26th is a Wednesday, it's not a Thursday night.
Oh,
Because of, we had to get the budget.
Special meeting will be before that.
So any special meeting that we will call will be prior to that, and you will have the same notification that you have for the Board of Education meetings now.
yes, motion to close?
Second.
Good night, good night.
No, that was weird.
I'm exhausted.